Hello, everyone. This is Eva here with Dan Winter in this amazing series of conferences for normalizing frequencies as the standard and inspire all the restorative movements to know about devices and knowledge that can support nature restoration and human better behavior, acknowledging deeper structures of reality. So please, Dan, introduce yourself and let us know how to make seeds grow 5 times faster and make water recover crystal purity and these crystal structures and fractal structures. Welcome.
Thank you, Ava. Ava's a hero because she's so dedicated and she has such outreach and global scale, and she's never intimidated. She's always there. I'm glad, Ava. Nice to be with you. So most of you know me. I'm Dan Winter, fractalfield.com, therify.net, theimploder.com, and I've been teaching physics of consciousness and implosion technology for my whole life. My background is electrical engineering, systems analyst with IBM, psychophysiologist. Currently, I am the inventor of many implosion technologies. Our flameinmind.com EEG technology is implosion-based for bliss and the binaurals there. Our therify.net, we're going to be talking about our plasma tech doing successful rejuvenation in 25 countries. I'm the inventor along with Paul Harris. And I should have mentioned Patrick Baughty is my partner for the Flame in Mind. And the imploder.com implosion tech is my invention, but for many years my partner there has been Jason. Also, Jason Matozo, fractalwater.com. My primary site is theimploder.com. And that's what we're going to be talking about, the science of implosion. And for that, we're going to use some pretty pictures. Let's see if we can get our pictures together here. So I have a couple of PowerPoints here. Let's see if this is going to work. If I put this up here. So are you seeing my face okay there, hopefully? Or you're seeing my screen? Good. So this is a recent sort of public relations piece we did. It's called A Challenge to Earth Scientists. Dear scientists of Earth, if you knew why a vortex, either mercury or water, or any vortex is piezo or liquid magnetic, if you knew why a vortex can make gravity and also spontaneously get colder, negentropic, and implode charge from the vacuum, then you could know why objects fall to the ground, and parentheses, and how the Nazis won the war, and the cause of life force, consciousness, and all centripetal negentropic forces. That is, the universe is not condemned to entropy. And then the ETs would categorize the Earth as interstellar worthy, meaning we are no longer in the dark ages. So dear scientists of Earth, please don't embarrass us. Tell us why vortexes make gravity. Hello. So, and then it says, you know, Dan Winter in our article, fractalfield.com/conjugate gravity, have clearly described by equation how this fractality, the fractality in a vortex, causes gravity. And I've built a rapidly cascading series of successful tech with the physics, the imploder.com, Therify, Flame in Mind. And the new technologies, which are even more amazing, stay tuned, will be energy and propulsion tech based on rotating conjugators and do make most of Earth look like the Stone Ages. So what is your answer? Now is the time to prove to Earth that Earth scientists are not fools. I mean, it's foolish enough not to know why objects fall to the ground, but if you don't know why anything is centripetal, then you can't even identify life, and therefore you can't help make a seed grow. So we are in the business here of learning why and how vortices get centripetal. So on the upper left, you have the picture, the classic picture of the water vortex, aka Victor Schauberger, and that vortex is piezoelectrically doped, which means a bit of piezoelectric rock powder, as in Steiner, is in the water. And then that flat impeller on the bottom is about 30 to 50,000 RPM. And the inside coating on the necessary egg shape would be certain high dielectrics or even a thin film of gold, for example. And if that's done properly, that vortex when it spontaneously starts getting colder, will begin to start generating electric power from gravity. And the story is that it worked so well that Hitler wrote Victor Schauberger a check. Well, more than that, he used the vortex then in Vimana Hanebu, which is how the Nazis won the war. And the embarrassment is that it's because we did not know how implosion makes gravity and centripetal force and makes seeds grow. Hello. So on the bottom, there's a summary here that when phase velocity, that if you're tracking this spiral down the cone, which is a 10 spirals of gold mean, when phase velocity charge wave, that is the acceleration of the phase wave front, heterodynes recursively, constructively, then charge compression becomes charge acceleration towards center. In other words, that form of compression in fractal geometry allows the waves to add and multiply the waves of phase velocity. And that turns compression into acceleration towards center. And that acceleration of charge towards center of fractality is named the gravity. So this is the first time probably most of you have learned why an object falls to the ground. And I suggest it's the first question you should be asking your kindergarten teacher. So we sort of start with that information, and we're not going to dwell on the physics here, but just to look at the evidence. So I was the one who discovered and proved by equation the fractal structure of hydrogen. These are the three primary radii of hydrogen, which I discovered were exactly integer exponents of golden ratio times Planck, which means you start with Planck length and time, the musical key signature of the universe, and then you simply multiply the golden ratio, and you get every wavelength, which is implosive and centripetal and life-giving, a way out of chaos. And we published a bunch of physics papers on this, which maybe we'll show you some examples. And so it says here, dear physicist, no one will accept your answer that it could be a coincidence that three hydrogen radii are precisely golden ratio exponents of Planck. So you physicists must now deal with my answer to why golden ratio times Planck equals hydrogen. It is because golden ratio conjugation of phases is how hydrogen implodes and makes gravity, permits charge to accelerate towards center. So we might look at some more pictures of what that looks like. This is, let's see if this will move over here. I wanted this over here. Oh, that's better. So it's that golden ratio adding and multiplying of waves down that vortex, the perfected vortex cone. And so I had this geometric design computed, perhaps maybe 15 years ago, something like that. And I had these designs from my early work on the graphics. Here's how the 10 spirals of the golden mean form the top-down view of hydrogen and DNA and every living protein. And here's how the adding and multiplying of the sine waves is recursively golden ratio for starting the concept of implosion. And here's how that's applied to the pine cone and gravity. So pine cones are kind of rain-making devices for this principle. Well, then I spent perhaps 10 years implementing this in injection molding. So I took this concept and I took this equation, which I later proved is how hydrogen is built, and I built that accurate spiral on a cone right here. And these are some of the first injection molding we did with the CAD-CAM I built for my equation. And this became theimploder.com. And just to animate that cone, this is sort of a fun thing. Let's see if it's going to play here. I don't know how fast that'll play on your biofeedback loop here, but it's a pretty elegant implosion cone. So it is ideally the trajectory which maximizes the possibility of charge implosion and therefore centripetal force, and therefore, why Victor Schauberger's vortex spontaneously started to get colder. And so we built the imploder water technology. And the earlier imploders look like, this is the earlier super imploder. We took that vortex nozzle cone there, and we built 3,000 Gauss magnets on it. And we had dramatic results. Here's the featured article in Grozine about theimploder.com with the help of fractalwater.com from Jason Matozo. And we had it published here, growth from 673 to 777 grams and Brix value up, et cetera, and film documentation. We'll see a lot more pictures of that. So this is the original superimploder. But that vortex nozzle, which now forms our triploder and imploder shower, and maybe you'll see some pictures of that in a minute. Yeah, that's the original vortex nozzle. And that vortex nozzle is still available. In fact, we just ordered $10,000 more worth of those nozzle. Is still available at theimploder.com as the imploder shower and the triploder, which is biodynamically so powerful. This is an early version, which was in a clear, which was beautiful, but was not as strong. Yeah, so here's some of the superimploder test results. We had typically 150% to 200% growth improvement in hemp marijuana with the superimploder. Now, point being that here, this is a published, these are the results. This is showing 168% improvement in growth by weight of this hemp, actually, the marijuana. Now, the limitation of the original...
For people to understand the imploder...
Go ahead, please.
Excuse me, Dan. For people to understand the imploder, basically creates negentropy, that is the implosion within, and recovers fractality of water and purity. Can you go deeper, or maybe you go deeper afterwards?
Well, good.
Just for people to understand why things, life force, why things grow much harder, because the imploder increased life force by the equation of negentropy.
Yes. What's happened is when the water travels down that cone, and this is from the cover of my book, Origin of Negentropy. When the water travels down that cone, that vortex, of course, it naturally wants to speed up because it gets centripetal. But if that water is a bit piezoelectric, so for example, it does tend to work a little better if the water is slightly hard water, and we do wonderful in hard water. In fact, we can often replace a water softener. So when the water is traveling down that cone, I don't know if you can see my cursor here, the charge implodes along with the water. And so the capacitance around that cone vortex becomes implosively centripetal. And we've actually proven this because if you put a seed next to the vortex, that germinating seed will grow faster, even if it doesn't get that water, because even being in the capacitive field of the vortex causes the seeds to grow better. And that's a fundamental point we wanted to make here, was that what makes a seed grow is how centripetal it is. It's very simple. Visualize a seed, the way it gets its first nutrient is if it can suck in the nutrient. And the ability of a seed to suck in its first food is how centripetal it is. So obviously, if you add centripetal force charge to a seed, it will grow better. It's very simple, because centripetal force is life. Implosion force is life. We'll talk about that a lot more when we get to the plasma, where the original Stonehenge was built because they used it to charge the seeds, double the growth, et cetera, et cetera. In most of the pyramids, the actual main purpose was charging seeds. And we've demonstrated that. We have reports, clear reports, from 200 to 400% increase in growth when you zap the seeds, marijuana is just one, with the therified plasma just before germination, just like Hermes had in mind when he designed the pyramid for charging seeds. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. The logic of this conversation was to present where the hardware is right now. So the superimploders was powerful, but that nozzle vortex had some pressure limitations, about 60 to 90 psi maximum, and obviously being only 3/4 inch. For several reasons, it was not ideal for commercial applications, anything large scale or high pressure or powerful, et cetera, et cetera. So we badly needed a much stronger unit. And that's what we have now. It's called the Ultra Imploder from theimploder.com, and also from Jason, who's been a hero here. So this is the Ultra Imploder. So we now have, it's all stainless. It's virtually indestructible. You can use hundreds of PSI, high pressure, no problem. Solid 1-inch pipe threads, both ends, and even more powerful magnets. So before we had 3,000 Gauss magnets with steel lensing, we were delivering over 4,000 Gauss, and now it's much higher than that. These are super, super magnets. And this is the vortex at one end. Now, back to Ava's question about why does it make the water grow, make the seeds grow. That when the water goes down that vortex and it's piezoelectric, it comes out capacitively charged with more capacitive charge spin. Then it enters a super powerful centripetal opposing magnetic array, implosive magnetics. And it's like the spinning rotor in a magnetic motor that, since the rotor is charged, the water ions coming out that vortex nozzle, and it's entering a strong DC magnetic field, it's literally like an electric motor. So that spins and shreds. So you get dramatically reduced molecular cluster size, which means solubility, means hydration, means bioavailability, means growth. And that's the point. That's the principle behind superimploder. I have this lovely picture that how that nozzle actually looks. Yes, here, this is what I wanted to show you. So as the water comes out that nozzle, it forms this beautiful spray pattern. And this is the original clear array, but see that vortex. And what you need to know about that vortex, and people say this is the imploder shower from theimploder.com, and people report that the water feels dramatically silky and energized, and they feel energized. People love these things, even that one little nozzle. This is sort of the fun picture. Now I get to play my fun picture, I think. Oh yeah, my pictures are working. Okay, so you see, now watch when you touch that vortex. What's happening there? You touch the vortex, and it responds to touch. Why, that's better than having a girlfriend. So if you can see when the water is coming out of the vortex, it's piezoelectrically charged to that spin, and it's adding charge to your body. It's very cool. But then think about the pressure geometry that happens when you touch that water. So I think, yeah, here we go. Okay, so why did it do that? How come that water reached out and responded to touch? I think you need a girlfriend like that. I mean, no, I'm kidding. That responds that well to touch. So, and here's some of the earlier, this is the material science. We went from a Fortron to a resonance Technil for the original nozzle, which are still available. And here's some of the original pictures. Yeah, I think this picture we should play here. This is, so we stack the opposing magnetics in a particular way. Now look at this animation. I don't know if you can see this very well, but these are two south poles of a super powerful magnet with a washer in between. Now watch what happens. These are opposing magnets. This is south pole opposing. How come they're sticking together? This is introducing the metaphor of phase conjugate magnetics. Why do opposing poles of those two magnets with the right kind of, it's a high permissivity washer in between, why do the opposing poles of that magnet stick together? Well, there's a lot more to the conversation about phase conjugate magnetics, and we may get to that when we talk about the therapy, because we use a harmonic recipe to create phase conjugate magnetics. Okay, I'm going to stop the screen sharing for just a second. This is, this is the GDV analysis before and after the charge of the water from the floater. And this is the entropy also with the GDV analysis. GDV is gas discharge visualization. It's basically a form of Kirlian, which you can do on water, pioneered by Korotkov and a friend, and you can measure the dramatic effect of the imploder on water. Yeah, some of the lab tests are here. I suppose we should finish this. This is two separate lab tests across the world proved at least 60% reduction in chlorine in the water when it went through the imploder. Also, I should say that we measured laboratory tests. 20% reduction was measured in both Chile and Canada in the wattage it took to do hydrolysis when you use a superimploder to pre-treat the water. Now, these are some of the early pictures. This is the green beans a few days. Here's the before and after. And here's some plant pictures. Yeah, you'll find when you go to theimploder.com and you click on imploder magnetic research, you'll get hundreds of these pictures from all over the world. All these before and after on the plants from the greenhouses. We actually have an animation on one of these. I don't know where you can actually watch the difference. Here's an early example of setting up implosive magnetics on the tube array. Here's some of the more advanced CAD/CAM work we did, building larger and larger implosion nozzles. You can see some of the models we made. We're building implosion. Here we are, imploders. I thought we had that animation. Yeah, here's a 30-day spinach test. The size of the spinach with and without the light, from 9 to 10 inches. Sorry, without the imploder. With the imploder, 14 to 15 is about 150%. Yeah, and here's some labels. There's just dozens of these pictures. We have results reports from around the world. This shows the super imploder water plus the light experiment here, the dramatic effects on the right compared to the control on the left. Okay, I clicked to stop sharing there. We have a drink of water. How am I doing, Ava? Oh, Ava, your mic, I think, you're muted, I think, Ava. Ava, unmute your mic.
Sorry,
there you go. Yeah, go ahead.
Understanding the relevance of water spinning, because nowadays we are suffering these confused leaders that wants to tube all the water in the world and give you cards and say how much water you can take from where and what to do with it. But if you put water in pipes that goes straight lines and can't spin like she does in nature, water will be dead and will have no crystals, no you can explain much better this.
Well, that's true.
It's only restricted by spinning. So if we don't spin water, we don't allow water to free spin.
That's right, and that's what Schauberger did so beautifully. He documented that the braiding in the water was. In fact, I have those pictures. Maybe I'll bring those pictures up here in a second. Share screen. Do this one more time. So that, I guess, gives us an excuse to share our Schauberger pictures. But let's see where I put that. Now I put that here. I put that here. Second. Get to that screen.
Are you sharing the screen? Yeah, add the screen. Here you go. You are sharing the screen.
There, okay, sorry. So this was some of the experiments from the Schauberger tradition, where they built these braiding devices. Let's see, there's more of them down below. Yeah. So you see, in the path of the river, they built these devices to braid the water. I thought there were more of those pictures where you actually cause the river to braid. This is from Schwenk and Sensitive Chaos. They use the antler horns, and this is a braiding device that they put dents in the pipe to cause the water to braid, etc. And all of that has the result of putting spin density back into the water. And essentially, negentropy, self-organization, life force is always related to a cascade of frequencies, which looks like a pine cone. And the broader the spectral the conjugation, the bigger the pine cone, the more centripetal it is and the more alive. So if you keep the long wave and the short wave spins both nested, one inside the other, the fashionable term today in physics is entanglement, but actually in phase conjugation is the solution to the perfect form of entanglement called perfected embedding. And embeddability is a name for fractality. And so you're embedding the short wave in the long wave accurately, and you get that nest of spins alive in water, and that's life force. So we should discuss a little bit of what that means also in terms of human health. That when we began marketing the ultra imploder, for example, the people in Ohio, is a wonderful group of Amish farmers in Ohio, and credit to Joel Yoder on this. And every single Amish farmer they showed the ultra imploder to chose to buy one. They ordered 20 at a time. It's because, of course, Ohio, like many flat areas, after a while, the well water gets pretty dead. And so that it was the taste of the water that did it for them. But then they began to notice the health effects, because some people have said as many as half of human health problems are a lack of hydration, solubility. Classic example, a lot of people, their back problems, it's the little donut washers, sort of like rubber washers between your spine bones, which when they get dehydrated, you got back troubles. So if you get better hydration, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, gray hair. Now, why is my hair gray? It's because it's mineral solubility. Well, I have an excuse. My father and my grandfather and they all had gray hair when they were very young. So, but the point is that in many cases, actual hair color can come back, et cetera, because of solubility. So solubility and hydration is a solution to all kinds. I mean, for example, eye problems is really often related to hydration, and back problems. And just so to have maximum solubility, I'd like to give is a solution to so many health problems. And so that's why not only does it taste better, but obviously you get better hydration. I want to give one more classic example here. We have Therify plasma centers around the world, and we'll talk about that. It's wonderful. But many of them are using the imploder also, and in several cases, at least Norway, and at least several others, use a super imploder in a spa next to the Therify plasma. Why? Well, if you pass water through the imploder, it's becoming more and more wet, literally soluble. And in that spa, they had amazing results with skin problems, eczema, psoriasis. They had lots of reports. Obviously, they're anecdotal, but they're powerful and they're replicable. And so for skin issues, again, super soluble water is a miracle maker. And you recycle the water through the imploder in the spa, for example, and then you drink imploder water. And of course, then the Therify plasma also puts spin density in the water. And that's actually the next subject of conversation here, about the plasma. But anything we've missed so far, Ava, how are we doing?
I just put a link. I'm answering the people in the chat, and just put a link about the Therify. But I would like to go a few minutes deeper about. It's not about that you reach water. It's not about how much water you drink. Is the relevant here? Is if the water you're drinking is alive or dead? If you drink water that comes from straight tubes that was put in PVC tubes or metal or any type of non-natural structure that makes water go straight and 90 degrees angles that can't let her spin, as more water you drink, you will not be hydrated, because what Dan is saying is that it's about liquidity. It's about how water is structured. If it's implosion is the force that grabs energy. That's why pine cones and the seeds are all like with this structure, because absorbs life force. That's why the imploder makes life force grow. But I really would like for people to understand that we really need to get together and free water from all these confused representatives that they perceive water fragmented, they perceive water like something that you can own. They don't understand that we are immersed in water complete. So could you go a little bit further about how relevant it is to drink water that is alive, that is free and spinning in her natural cycle, for people to get it? Because when someone as a representatives come and say, hey, I'm going to put you these tubes to secure your water, it looks like they're doing good, but they are really killing you for real. They're not helping.
Yeah, well, obviously the spin density in the water, which is what we call life force, is delimited by many external factors. And you're right, if the pipe itself were braided, you would keep a little more of the spin there, as Schauberger proved. But there are many other issues as well that decrease the spin density, especially high pressure and high temperature reduce spin density. And we made measurements in UK when we first just invented imploder, how long the life force in the water would retain the seed germination effect. In this case, it was over 100% growth effect we were getting with the imploder. How many days could you store that water and still get the growth effect? And we found generally you could restore it for at least 2 or 3 days in a tank. However, that life force was reduced by high temperature, high pressure, and it's true, as Ava is correctly saying, that when the water is in certain metals, it's is worse because the capacitive charge is bleeding. But also, of course, exposure to certain pollutants and plastics that can be issues too. There are certain potable-related plastics. Obviously, certain ceramics are fabulous because they can have a much higher dielectric constant, and therefore, dielectric constant is the definition of charge distribution efficiency, and it just happens that charge distribution efficiency is named life force. So obviously, storing it in gold would be good, but maybe if you don't have that handy, you can at least get a sense of how the water is losing life force in these long pipes and high pressure. And non-metallic containers obviously are better. And of course, exposure to electrosmog and bias voltages reduce the spin density in the water. So all these things, and remember, the ability to remember spin is life. It's really true. And one way I like to remember that, I always say that if you're driving by and it's a really good river, then every child in the back of the car will immediately want to pee. However, if it's not a really good living river, then every child is not immediately going to ask to pee. and that's good physics instruction, because the water inside your body, remember, people were invented by water because water wanted to move around. You know that story. So the water inside your body, when exposed to water outside your body that is connected to life, which is to say embeddability, because the water is not as stupid as we are. It knows that the only way to live forever is to embed perfectly in immortal spin. That's why the Sufi master who could make the perfect echo is the saint. The perfect echo is the perfect maintenance of spin. And the perfect echo for water is the perfect vortex. So if the water in your body sees the water outside your body in an embeddable way, that with life force, then immediately you're going to need to pee, because your water in your body is not stupid. It wants to join the flow. And that actually applies to an old important lesson in geobiology, why a good geobiolog rearranges the house so the walls prevent people from standing and sleeping over water veins. Well, what's the physics? Well, you'd say, well, if it's a beautiful water vein, wouldn't you want to be right near it? Actually, you go right near the water vein, you've got all that charge going. It's a beautiful thing. However, if you stand there or if you sleep over a water vein, you know what happens? Your aura wants to go away. Can't blame it. It wants to join the flow. So you literally might get sucked in. So it's very interesting the way these principles apply to geobiology, because the advanced work here, which is work on the deep rock, or what they call primary water, deep structure water, locating those water veins, we found by measurement, can be measured indirectly by the efficiency of capacitive coupling in a perfectly tuned circuit. And the reason why walking over a water vein will increase the efficiency of coupled capacitors is called phase conjugate dielectric. It's literally how DNA radio works, because you get that charge implosion, you embed the transfers to the longitudinal wave, which we'll talk about maybe later. And that longitudinal electromagnetic, is sometimes called scalar or torsional, is actually how DNA radio works as well.
Would you mind to share your screen again with the visual of the imploder, so people can see again that image of how implosion works, how gravity and bliss works, and how life force can be replicated by installing. And another question: if people want to install, like in an industrial size, or in their environment to grow seeds or to grow their own veggies, how can they do to restore that natural movement of spinning if they don't have like a river beside or the capacity of
yeah. Right. Well, there's an if you go to theimploder.com and click on the Ultra Imploder link, which takes you to fractalfield.com/Ultra Imploder, you actually see a film here of the installation of an Ultra Imploder. Here's it's just showing the mounting of the device and how you set it up, etc., etc. So that film there gives you a really practical, hands-on installation instruction. Remember that these devices are heavy. This is 40 pounds, it's mechanically the way you connect it is it's simply a 26 inches long, 1 inch stainless steel pipe with a male thread at both ends. So it's the physics of how to connect it is literally just like screwing the threads on a pipe, actually. But in terms of making life force on your farm, that's just one step. There is also charging the water with the biodynamic technologies. And maybe I should show you our biodynamic tri-ploter here. Let's see if I can bring that up. Got too many windows here. Okay, so I'm going to look at biodynamic. So this, using France's leading biodynamic scientist, Laurent, we take the inner cone of the vortex. This is the tri-ploter you're seeing, and they put a very sophisticated biodynamic preparations, which we now know are highly capacitive and capacitively coupled. Thin layer of gold, beeswax, and certain biodynamic preparations, for example, replace the phosphorus or the calcium in the soil. So if you know your soil is short on phosphorus, you can put that back in the water without fertilizer with this technology. It's amazing, the biodynamic tri-ploter. And he's actually demonstrated commercially ability to eliminate not just fertilizers and antibiotics in both plant and animal farming, including shrimp and grape farming. It's amazing. So when you add biodynamics, which is naturally using the dynamization of the vortex, and so then I will.
So what you say, dynamize water, increase the immune system, so allows you to be healthy. So you don't need to, you or the animal that you live with, they don't need any chemicals, or the plants that you're growing, they don't need any chemicals.
Yes. Well, and when you use biodynamic science and you potentize from inside the vortex, you actually can replace whatever's missing in the soil by the physics of putting the right capacitance inside the nozzle to charge the water with whatever's missing in the land. Biodynamic science is amazing. I just wanted to give a couple examples. So here, Laurent has optimized the tri-ploter with these biodynamic preparations and then mounted it in a very special high pressure rated array with the biodynamic tri-ploter. And these are pictures of the shrimp farming results. And I mean, we actually flew Laurent to Thailand. Here you actually see the high pressure, the pressure water going through the biodynamic tri-ploter for shrimp farming. And let me tell you about this. It is so amazing. Remember, half of Asia is dying because of the pollutants they're using in shrimp farming these days. I mean, we're talking chlorine and chemicals, and it's just incredible. Well, here they have to replace the water like every day. It's just horrible. Well, it turns out that when you use the biodynamic tri-ploter designed for shrimp, we proved by actual trials in Thailand, complete elimination of all need for chemicals, no chlorine, no nothing, we eliminated the need to replace the water. The shrimp grew literally double the size, double the rate with half the food. It was just, that's just the beginning. I mean, so when we combine the biodynamic science with the imploder science, and now Laurent and our biodynamic team is experimenting with the ultra imploder as well. So the potential here is amazing. But you know, it's true that in many cultures, the pharmaceuticals have so taken over that if you tell them, here's a way to eliminate fertilizers for the wine making, you know, there's a rebellion underway because half the country's economics depend on selling those fertilizers. But eventually we know we do not need fertilizer. We use biodynamics and a vortex, and you can absolutely revolutionize farming. And we're setting up demos in Australia as well. So
It makes sense because if you increase life force, all your creature works perfectly, and your immune system is fine. So you don't need nothing to avoid any attack from the external world if you're an animal. And if you're a plant, then you increase life force. The most obvious is that you're going to grow from 2 to 5 times.
And and,
And
and think if
no, because you expect to increase your energy. So if you increase your energy through the water, because water is more alive, you don't need so much food. When you eat alive water, you are not hungry at all because life force is within it. So it makes completely sense.
And think practically, what the biodynamic scientist has done. He went to the farmer who just went broke buying fertilizer to put the phosphorus and whatever else back in his soil. And then he takes a biodynamic preparation, sticks it in the center of the inner vortex cone, so it's capacity charging the water with the electric signature and phosphorus, and just saved that farmer $1 million in fertilizer bills. And it works every time. Hello, of course the fertilizer industry is going to be upset, but eventually, these farmers all over India are committing suicide because of their fertilizer bills. I think we need to get on the case with biodynamics and the vortex and the imploder. That's exactly right.
Yeah, of course. The chemistry industry is made for increased benefits, and as we know, corporations are not alive entities. So if you increase only economic benefits in the price of life, you are not doing a good job. And life at the end is, I understand in life you can increase life without no man-made things.
Well, and we're not here to say that corporations are evil in general, but the point is that corporations that understand the physics of life force will work so much more efficiently, and that obviously is necessary on this planet pretty quickly. I see that we have about 10-15 minutes left. We might want to do some questions, and we're going to do a section on the plasma, the therapy.
Someone asked here, what is your point of view about the investigation of Dr. Masaru Emoto about the impact of emotions in water, impact of intention, I think he meant. I don't know.
We loved Mr. Emoto. We lectured in many countries with him, especially near Barcelona there. Georg Gaup, his son, was running Emoto's lab in Europe, and really fabulous work. And it's true. In sensitive crystallization, the crystal geometry during freezing will meaningfully represent the charge structure in water. That's good. Unfortunately, Emoto's group, for the most part, did not understand the science very well. A lot of scientists would come to his lectures and walk away saying, well, it was beautiful, but there was no science. And it's true, there was no science. For one thing, they didn't really understand that replicability is required to call it science. And Emoto's research didn't know what replicability was. But it was a beautiful way to teach people the effect of love on water. It's real, and water is a receiver for love, and the capacitive field of water will reveal that. And our tools are getting much better to do that work. And so Emoto leaves a wonderful legacy. And our friend, Dr. Karatkov, was at Lake Baikal, I think, with him, and measured the effect on the whole lake's water from the rituals they did. And that's real. So it was a lot of beautiful work. And we're just trying to add to the rigor of that science.
Thank you so much. Anyone listening to this could write in the chat, and I will read it and read it to Dan. Meanwhile, Dan, would you explain us how the therapy increase plasma? You can use plasma devices to therapy and increase life force and order using it.
Exactly. So now I was going to use some of the visuals from the Therify project here. Are you seeing the Therify screen now?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So Therify.net project started with a famous scientist in France named Antoine Priory. Let's see if I have any of those slides. And Antoine Priory had built plasma machines inspired by Reich and Lakhovsky, and used a frequency signature inspired by, here's Lakhovsky, for example. And Lakhovsky intentionally used golden ratio, but did not know how to phase conjugate with opposing pairs, and did not know how to tune to plug. So this is some of the, in in pink here, U3, 10, 32, 50, you see the frequencies that Antoine Priory actually used, healed thousands of cancers, spent millions of dollars per device, and no one had a clue of why it worked or how it worked until me. And the day I understood was when I saw that. You see these frequencies in pink here. His frequencies, which he got over decades of testing, starting with Tesla, Rife, Lukovsky, 310, 32, 80 hertz, that cascade. It turned out that those frequencies he used were very close to my original equation named origin of biologic negentropy. So I had discovered that if you took here Planck length times integer exponential golden ratio, you produced all the living key biologic frequencies: Schumann harmonics, brainwave harmonics, hydrogen harmonics, Earth year, Venus year, solar year, galactic year, precessional year, and the only two frequencies that make photosynthesis work. I mean, we knew what was the cause of negentropy in life. So the day we saw that the frequencies that Priory used fit my equation was the day said, oh, we can finish this work. And that's the day we built Therify.net. My partner, Paul Harris from Western Canada, who was for years an expert on noble gases and the use of hydrogen plasma. And he's also one of the world's leading teachers of practical hands-on alchemy. And so this tube, which you see from ancient Egypt, we think was actually a charged noble gas tube to reduce aging, to produce rejuvenation. That's people say this was a light bulb in Egypt. We say crap. We say no, this was their technology, because we know the Anunnaki Draco's problem on arriving at Earth. The atmosphere was not phase conjugate, so they were aging catastrophically. So they said, I'm raising a Shem unto the Lord. Shem means a black hole, implosive charge field, the Garden of Eden. And that's what living plasma does. So we took, let me see if I have a picture of the components of the device here. I don't know if you can see it here. There's on the right here, you can barely see it. There's a large black case, which contains a bifiller Tesla coil. And we took my frequency cascade in the phonon, low frequency cascade, from about 2 to a couple hundred hertz, 10 or 15 harmonics in that cascade, very complex waveform, synthesized digitally, very accurately. And then we combine that with a very expensive amplifier in the megahertz range to a broad spectral phase conjugate waveform. And then it comes out of that into a bifiller Tesla coil. Pictures that here. And which is under the bed here and to the right here. And then we output that wave from the bifiller Tesla coil. It emerges as a very broad spectral phase conjugate wave in two poles, exactly 180 degrees phase conjugate out of phase at 500,000 volts, and we dump it into the noble gas tube you see on top. The complexity of the noble gases is a proprietary here, but that noble gas is an optical conjugator. So now I got optical conjugation, I have RF, high frequency conjugation, and I have a low frequency cascade, which is profoundly conjugate. So I got very big pine cones kissing noses in the center. For example, Priory didn't even know that you need an opposing pair, and that's basic. So we started there, and we've been, 3-4 years now, building Therify systems. And I have to say, you check out Therify.net, the stories from around the world just are off the charts. Pain elimination in short order in many cases. Anecdotal stories, we do not make medical claims, but still the anecdotal reports are off the charts and the interest is off the charts. It's a fabulous thing. We used, for example, the physics of Agnihotra to teach this principle. Here you've got a plasma, you're burning the ghee, and you do it in a phase conjugate array, right angle, which requires sunrise and sunset, for example. And the right angular interface velocities, which is how you do phase conjugation in lasers, means that you can embed those vortex at angstrom level accuracy into the perfect pine cones kissing noses, basically a cube. And that's how phase conjugation is done in lasers. That's how it's done in Agnihotra. And with Agnihotra, you get this amazing fertility effect. And oh, by the way, the people at Bhopal and Nagasaki survived much longer than the Agnihotra. And there's a whole village in Poland. We were there. The Agnihotra turned the whole village into a fertile ground. The physics is that it embeds this longitudinal array. So this leads us to many things, a conversation about a mechanism here. First of all, yes, as we said, when you take the Therify and zap water, you have amazing results. When you zap seeds, the results are amazing. People have taste the water, they can't believe it. The seed results are just, we're selling these systems now just for agriculture. It's amazing. But what I wanted to try to talk about, and there's only a few minutes left and my voice is running out. This is one of the limitations of talking too much, but is the physics of how it works. So when that charge goes down that pine cone, that it's called transverse EMF inertia, is translated in vorticity down the toothpaste tube, squeezed out at the Planck threshold into faster than light potential velocities called longitudinal interferometry, which is the physics of everything in spiritual literature, actually, action at a distance in physics and lucid dreaming. And we've proven it. The Therify has a dramatic lucid dreaming effect. And by the way, that's how you survive death if you're interested. So this ability to propagate a longitudinal array coherently, which requires a fractal, a rose-like structure, why Jodie Foster had to use a dodecahedron in contact. And that fractal longitudinal rose-like array is the nodal array of the collective unconscious, the only place where telepathy and phone calls to ancestors are possible. And I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons. Therify plasma, among other things, is famous for healing at a distance, action at a distance. We're having success stories around the world. Don't believe me, ask the 25 countries of Therify listed there. And what I try to teach the physics of why longitudinal propagation coherence causes successful action at a distance. Literally the physics of prayer, if you will. And so we tell people, it's quite clear, this is not a miracle. No, it is physics, but it's beautiful, loving physics, which is that, for example, if you would like action at a distance to work better, if you want your prayer to work better, if you want your Therify to work better, you want your labyrinth or cathedral to work better, and the only place you can work at Cozy Rev Mirror, it has to be at the place where the Earth magnetic line crosses, which, by the way, reduces radioactive critical mass measurably. The physics is that node is centripetal, and that's where DNA radio works. That's where the Cozy Rev Mirror got military quality telepathy, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're a therapist doing plasma healing or plasma water charging, whatever, and you're doing remote healing, you can prove to yourself the physics of longitudinal coherent propagation, because when you test it at sunrise or sunset, or at equinox or solstice, or the place where the magnetic lines are in a cross, it always works better. If you put the device at a magnetic node, for example, if you put yourself at a magnetic node. So that's an introduction to Therify plasma. And yes, it is amazing for water. The group, it was actually in Canada, that said they had 500% growth effect by zapping seeds, the hemp cannabis with the Therify. They said it's a big secret because we're going to revolutionize the industry. Well, I said it's not a secret because it's simple physics. Okay. Any questions? Oh, your mute's on there, Ava. Ava, unmute. Unmute your mic. There.
Sorry.
There.
Again. Someone asked, could you please point in which of your websites you point out the errors that you dissolved from Tesla and Einstein? Because someone asked about energy and Tesla, and I know that a lot of things that the new scientists are using are from their discoveries, but I know you optimize everything they were looking for and you find out how. So could you point which your websites?
Probably the best website with all the intro to the physics, and the slide is called Einstein Induced Insanity. I'm not picking on the poor guy. He did a lot of wonderful stuff, but he was a lot of very sad confusion, like not having a clue why an object falls to the ground, and calling action at a distance spooky, and thinking it takes infinite energy to go through the speed of light. I mean, you got some profound mistakes there, Mr. Einstein. Anyway, it's fractalfield.com/vacuum energy. And it's one word, vacuum energy.
Vacuum.
Yeah, fractalfield.com/vacuum energy. And all the intro to that science is all there, and the best films. And that's the film I did at the International Breakthrough Energy Movement Conference, Amsterdam, last year. And it also has the Einstein mistakes and the Tesla mistakes slides. Example of Tesla mistakes. Again, we don't want to pick on these people. Amazing contributions. However, the day that Tesla chose 60 cycle is the day that America lost the possibility of being part of the only really exciting new technology on the planet, carbon nano. Because guess what? When carbon grows like a flower, called Buckminster fullerene, the hottest subject in modern chemistry, it's conjugate implosive negentropy. And if you can make it 99% pure and rotated, well, you've replaced every energy and propulsion technology on the planet and made the rest of the Earth look like the Stone Age. But you need to be able to make it pure enough. Well, just with the carbon nano project. The hilarious thing is, and I think I call this karma. So 60 cycle propagates across North America, right? And turns out if you build these, it takes $1 billion plant to start with phase one of these projects. If you do it in a 60 cycle country, no chance, not a prayer, it ain't going to work, not going to happen. No, but if you go to Europe where they got 50 cycle, which happens to be the most commonly mentioned frequency in all the literature on cancer healing, and exactly golden ratio interdirectional Planck, and a key frequency of therapy, et cetera, et cetera. So 50 hertz is actually can be kind of magic. So in Europe, where you got 50 cycle and you try to make carbon grow, you got a prayer. In America, 60 cycle, you don't got a prayer. So this is an example of a Tesla mistake, because Tesla really did not know what life force was, unfortunately. He had indirect intuitions about how scalar, which is really correctly called longitudinal technology, can propagate energy at a distance. But even then, when he was trying to propagate energy at a distance, you can see those light bulbs he planted on the lawn to try to make them light up at a distance from the high voltage tower. He did not place those light bulbs in a longitudinally phase coherent fractal conjugate array. So it's proof that Tesla did not actually understand how action at a distance worked.
About that, I learned because of you that the aura grows in 4998 cycles. So 50 cycles in Europe is much healthier. And if you are in 60 cycles, your aura can explode, like can expand. Is that correct?
The best would be a cascade, and it's true. The actual golden ratio times Planck is 49.9 something hertz. He's right, and that is the magic. It's true, and it's true that 60 hertz is more dangerous as electrosmog than 50. But there's many other issues of danger in electrosmog, RF, and it's really true that our ability to be DNA radio, which is the only thing that differentiates us from having a soul with the Borg, requires we get away from our electrosmog, our Wi-Fi. And when we turn on the Wi-Fi in this house, everybody gets nausea immediately. We can feel it instantly. And gradually, once your body gets tuned, you just don't want anything to do with that crap. Anyway. Okay.
So basically, yeah, sorry, what are you saying?
No. Is there another question that we should?
No, there's no more questions. When people ask, I post them the links of your sites and
great.
For people. Is there any message you want to tell to the youth that are trying their best to restore nature and restore human behavior, more aware of sensitivity and life force?
That's a beautiful question. Valerie is here studying permaculture and studying how to grow a food forest. And if you incorporate fractal rose-like pattern magnetic geobiology in the permaculture and food forest, there's this lovely new documentary now on regenerative farming. So there's a lot of material out there. Genetic diversity, that's another question. We should come back and have another conversation about that. But that's very important. You're right. We send blessings to everyone working on that. Thank you. Thank you.
so much, Dan. Thank you for being with us here, and thank you for sharing such amount of wisdom. I hope you last long, as you know how to do it. You know how eternity works, so we need you, life and happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ava. Thanks for being there. Blessings.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Okay, everyone. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing with us this amazing moment of mutation in Earth, and to keep your hope in your faith in humans that are doing their best to recover order, not only within this environmental order too. I'm gonna right now share with you a video that really helped me for people to understand how relevant it is to look at nature straight, and fill my glass of water and start the conference about perception and freedom, and perfection and perception. So I'm gonna, please stay tuned. It lasts only 3 minutes. I just need to fulfill the glass of water, and I will be back and share with you how to be in peace and be completely free to act with what happens instead of react with what you know. And with that presence, perceive what happens around and see miracles of life happening around you, not only because you can see negentropy and sacred geometry all over the place, because you choose what to do and how to act with what really increase your life force, not with what you think that is going to be better. So I'm going to share with you now my screen, and with this amazing video that I'm really grateful that someone put his creativity and his skill set in sharing with people how life works for real. And that this video avoided me a lot of conversations about how creation is perfect, completely perfect. So here we go. Give me 2 minutes of your attention for seeing this amazing piece. So thank you for watching it with me, and thank you for being here. As you saw, thank you to Cristobal Vila for making such a good piece and share with us his power of creating visible the invisible. For us to understand that sacred geometry implosion, what Dan has been explaining, it's everywhere and made us. So why humans don't perceive don't perceive perfection through our perception, sorry, it's because we've been taught words. And even if we can explain everything with mathematics, because everything is made with golden mean proportion, we don't even see it. We don't feel it within us. And that doesn't allow us to feel perfect right now, to understand perfection happening right now. We've been exploring perception. I've been a perception explorer for 15 years. And by watching perception straight, I discovered what is called the gears of thinking. Why humans lose the perception of perfection happening all the time. Why humans perceive out of nature. Why humans don't allow love to thrive from within. How humans lose inner peace is because we've been taught words that fragments what is unified, what is limitless change, limitless mutation and thriving is because we've been taught words that fragments what is completely interconnected. We've been taught a lot of words that makes no sense because fragments what is unified. We've been taught words to chop our bodies. We've been taught what is called anatomy. So some doctors and some people perceive that the hand is a part of the elbow, that is a part of the shoulder, that is a part of the head. That makes no sense because you are a holistic creature, you are completely integral. And we've not only been taught fragmentation of our own selves, we've been taught fragmentation in everything. And what we are living right now is a big mutation, not only on Earth, it's a perceptive mutation because we are transcending from the Cartesian paradigm where things are described fragmented and time seems to exist. We believe that yesterday happened and tomorrow will happen because we project holograms in front of us that describes like something is coming or something did happen because we can remember. So human perception is completely conditioned by what we know, record in memory. If we use memory to perceive present, we are using past to perceive present. That means that there's something going on here to look at it straight. We want to check out how to maintain your inner peace and how to perceive nature completely perfect like it is, and how to understanding that fact to act with nature in order for life force to increase with our actions. Nowadays, humanity that is full of constructs and ideas in their memory, they know about numbers and most of humans have a score in front of their face that is numbers of money to make grow. So the creativity is basically limited to make that score grow in numbers. And that the score doesn't allow us to perceive perfection and perceive what is happening for real and what we can do to increase life force around us, or how life force is guiding us by expanding the hydrogen within us. The water that is all over yourself expands when you find out how you're gonna increase life force, how to follow the ideas that increase that life force within you because you are life force itself. So let's make a game of all of you that are watching this. Let's make a game for you to understand how we lose awareness of present and how memory is conditioned in your perception, how memory creates your emotions, your conflicts, how you struggle. And in the moment you understand that, you will be free for real. Because freedom is not about doing what you want with what you know. Freedom is about being completely aware of what happens and act with what increases your life force, not with what you think is going to be better. or what you know past and you want to avoid because it might be negative, or your imprints of pleasure that guides you and move you forward by repeating imprints of pleasure that could develop better biochemistry in your brain. This is not the way of animal behaving. Animals are completely immersed in what is called the morphic field. Morphogenetic field is an energetic blueprint that guides animals to follow what increases life force. So let's make a game that I love to do with the ones watching and understand how we think out of the head and how we can stop thinking and control how we act freely, understanding perfection happening outside and understanding perception, how it works within us, and changing that patterns to follow life force increasement with what happens. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, please, everyone watching this, close your eyes and think of a natural pineapple, a fruit. So I know you are there in your home, so wherever you are, please close your eyes and think of a natural pineapple. And now show me with your hands how big is your pineapple. So most of you will be doing this with your hands. Now open your eyes and check out where is the idea of the pineapple. It's right here in front of you because you are using your memory to create an image, to open a dimension where there is a pineapple in front of you. It doesn't matter if it's big or this big. The point is that it's right here in front of you. The hologram of the pineapple is right there in front of you. That means that humans don't think inside the head. We project holograms in front of us, and that makes us lose the awareness of the skin, the awareness of the present moment within us, and the awareness of what is really happening. This looks like what, but it's truth. We think out of the head. That's why the devices in the hospitals can read what is going on in your brain, because you are creating ideas in front of you, and those wavelets are readable. So now that you realize, because everyone thought about a natural pineapple out of the head, it doesn't matter the size, it matters where the idea is that is outside of you. Now please close your eyes again, and now that your eyes are closed, think of a kuchu-flu. Of a what? You can't think of a kuchu-flu because the concept is not in your memory. That means humans only think with what we know. And we know nearly nothing about how life force increases, how nature grows, how water spins, how your organism is completely interconnected, how you never left water because you were made by her and you are always inside of it. We think with what we know, and we've been taught a lot of things that are not describing reality interconnected. So it's time to challenge human perception. First, before trying to fix nothing outside, please check out how we perceive, because we are the only animal destroying Earth. We are the only animal killing other life forms without no reason. We are the only animal perpetuating wars. So we have to check out what is going on with the animal, the human animal we are, and how we perceive. That is the source of our behavior, how perception works. Because if you really want to be free, you first of all need to identify memory destroying your presence. Because presence is the only state that allows love to come through you and allows inner peace to create social peace and environmental restoration. So nowadays we are basically mutating completely humanity, because we are passing from the time where time and distance seems to exist to the unified paradigm where everything is perceived interconnected and immersed in a vortex, in a unified field of frequencies that creates life force. From the Cartesian paradigm to the unified paradigm, there's a lot of dictionary words based in fragmentation that we need to avoid. From the unified paradigm to the holographic paradigm, where we understand that everything is a fractal, that we are immersed in the EA theory or theory of everything, or that we are immersed in a perfection creation happening, we need to erase a lot of words and make common awareness other concepts that describes reality interconnected. So now that you play the pineapple game and you saw that thoughts are outside of the head and you couldn't think about kuchu-flu because the word is not in your memory, now we're going to check out how to be completely free to perceive from within the body, like animals do, for you to follow the life force expansion, how to feel how water within you expands, so you follow what is really relevant for you to thrive and bloom, because you are like a flower. You are here to thrive and bloom. So how to make decisions, how to understand the perceptive system, and how to stop memory to be completely free, is about identifying that every time you leave a conflict, it was because you're comparing an idea that was in front of you, that was made with your memory, with your domesticated memory, full of constructs. That a construct is a concept that is common use but doesn't describe reality as it is. So how the constructs in our memory are creating conflict continuously, are creating opinions, judgment, not only outside, inside. Why humans don't love themselves completely? Why don't you talk with all the creatures within you and telling them, hey, I love you guys, you do it really good. I don't have a clue how the immune system works, maybe, but I can tell them, hey, you do really good. Everything is safe, because the immune system works much better if you perceive supported by the environment. If you perceive an invisible threat outside yourself, the immune system are in defensive mode and it gets exhausted. So we are not doing pretty well right now, that everyone is scared about sickness or wars or limitations or lack of freedom. So let's explore how really freedom works. For you to understand how perception works, you need to understand that we are trapped in memory, and memory was conditioned when you were a kid. For the most obvious construct that we can identify, the first of all to erase from the dictionary is water fragmentation. If I tell you, close your eyes and think about a diagram of a river, you might see a picture. I'm going to share something that you can see. So let me share this document. You can see what I'm talking about. The stream, and where it is here. I hope you're seeing this. This is what we see as water. We've been taught water completely fragmented, and water, it's all over the place. Water, we never left water. We were grown inside water. Inside your mommy's belly, there was water. And when you are outside, out here, there is water too. So basically, if there's only light and frequencies happening, and we are here having this illusionary experience of reality, what is wrong with us that we don't perceive things unified? For us to understand the perceptive error of separation, we need to check out the first example that a 5-year-old kid can understand. We've been taught this, that is water fragmented, when water is completely a unified substance that spins and regenerates itself by passing through earth cycles. But we've been taught rains, clouds, we've been taught the river a part of the lake, a part of the ocean, the sea a part of the ocean, and all that makes no sense because it's not true. But that allows some confused people to put factories in one part in a far river and buy a house in a sacred reserve lake or something because they think they're safe. But it's not right because it's based in constructs. So we need to understand, first of all, that memory is not your friend. Memory is what makes you go to war. So for that, we map out and color-coded the 5 hard disks of memory that you use for you to be completely free. The first hard disk is your intentions, because your ideas will conditionate your actions. So if you project a negative future, you will create a lot of milestones to avoid that negative future, and those ideas will be imposed to others. That's why we are suffering so much conflicts and surveillance, and because these people doesn't trust life and they think that they need to control you and you lose your freedom. So intentions are pretty dangerous because it doesn't allow you to keep your presence. And if you don't keep your presence, you will not act with what happens for real. And what happens for real is the only thing happening. So if you act out of what happens, you are not in present, and the present will get destroyed. And that's the source of why humans are the only animal destroying Earth. So the 5 hard disks of memory are intentions, then culture, that is the hard disk that will take you to war, because you identify yourself with a team, with a country, and countries makes no sense neither, because as you saw, water is not fragmented, neither the spherical planet that you're stepping. You are always in the top of the world, and only if you take the underground, you are underground, but mostly you are always in the top of the world. You achieve it, you're done there, you did it. You are always there, and you're stepping on a spherical planet, and that the spherical planet has no lines, because spheres has no lines, has no start and no finish. So borders that are another construct that confused humans created many, many years ago. Maybe they didn't erase when they thought that Earth was flat and there was not a lot of communication, no transport, so they thought that this is the limit and this is my border and I'm going to put a wall here and I'm going to invent a paper for you to have this invented paper to cross the line that I invented. If you don't have this invented paper, you can't cross the line. Now I can ask you to get an injection or to put a wristband or whatever to cross my invented border. But that makes no sense, because we are stepping on a spherical planet, and that spherical planet has no lines. Only humans invented lines are there. But if you check out how Earth is from the space, you will see that there's no lines. So it's time, if we really want to evolve and cooperate and recover fraternity, it's time to check out the cultural memory, because it's not about erasing all the traditions, it's about not imposing those traditions, not imposing that knowledge that is domestication in your memory, and not allowing that memory to take you to war or to fight with someone that has another belief system because it's been domesticated differently. And to do so, you really need to understand that you're never what you think. So every time you get upset or angry with someone, you're losing your freedom. If you really want to respect your freedom and to be completely aware of what you're doing, you really need to control your memory, because memory is your first enemy, because it doesn't allow presence. So we check out intentions memory and cultural memory. Now we're going to check out fantasy memory. Fantasy memory is another hard disk that we have fulfilled of domestication with Hollywood, Disney, and all these comics we read, and all the books we read, and the movies we saw, and all the fairy tales we hear. And fantasy is about other dimensions that we never explore for real. So they are not your 3D dimension, but you use it to conditionate your behavior, and you use it to create other potentials. So you limit your creativity and your connection with the source, or maybe your way of manifesting, because of your limited memory in fantasy and your limited memory in intentions and culture. The next hard disk is the histories heard from others. So we condition and lose our freedom because we hear a lot of things that happen to others, and those others had their experiences, and their experiences are not your experience. So if you use other people's experiences and other people's beliefs to behave, you're losing your freedom. So if you want to keep your freedom, don't listen to other people's experiences if they don't increase your joy or your life force. So if you want to create something, ask the ones who already did that something for you to follow what they did, because they will increase your belief that you can. If you want to open or change or create something different, and you ask the ones that had limited beliefs, they will throw in your red memory, that is the hard disk of other people's experience, what happened to them. And if you believe so, you will limit yourself, so you will lose your freedom. The last hard disk of memory, so we've been checking intentions, culture, fantasy, and other people's experience. The last hard disk of memory that we use to perceive is our own experience. What happened to us conditionate us and doesn't allow us to feel free in the present moment and to be the love we are in presence, and to maintain our inner peace, because memory will trigger you. In the moment you see something that it's like a trigger of something that reminds you something that created a conflict before, you will react instead of acting with it. For that, you have to be super aware that you're never what you think. You only think with what you know. And as you saw before, you can't think of a Gucci flu because the concept is not in your memory. It's new, like life. So for perceiving life complete, thank you. For perceiving life complete, you have to be completely in presence. For being in presence, you have to avoid the use of memory completely. And remember that you are an animal that Earth made. No one made you. Earth made you like the pineapples, the watermelons, the trees, the flowers, the bees. She made you. So you are immersed inside of it. You are immersed in a huge, alive form that made you. And you didn't thought when you were in your mom belly, you didn't thought, oh, how am I here? How I'm going to do my eyes? How I'm going to grow my ears? How I'm going to put my lungs inside my ribs and not outside? For that, life worked for you. So right now, every time you want to control, or every time you struggle, every time you create a conflict, it's because your memory is right in the middle of your experience of presence, destroying the capacity for you to be in peace. So let's please check out within you right now, live, the last time you got angry or upset. Can you remember that? Was not that because you were thinking of an idea that didn't match with what was happening? You didn't like it, what was happening. That means that you were comparing what was happening with an idea in front of you, that it was created by your memory, that is not present, that is past knowledge, and compare in fragments with what is going on. And that's the source of conflict. So no one made you nothing. No one hurt you, only the ones that touch you like harmfully, but no one hurt you. The only one harming yourself is yourself by not understanding your perceptive system and how to be completely free to act with what happens without no expectations, no need of opinion, no need of judgment or achievement, because you are completely in presence. So now that you know that only memory can destroy your joy, and you saw that, you can check the last time you got angry, or you can check the 1,000 times that you got angry until now, and you will realize that it was only your opinion about what was happening, what made you lose your inner peace, so decrease your life force. And as your life happening, you want to increase your life force, you want to bloom and thrive freely. So now remember what made you happy, like completely happy, what the last moment that you were completely having a blast, that you were like completely out of time and enjoying whatever was happening. You were there just doing what you love to do and enjoying the moment without any idea of how it should be, or any idea of how it's going to be later, or any idea of how I'm going to repeat this to you are just enjoying. And that increased life force. If that will be still here, it will tell you like there's a lot of artifacts and inventors creating artifacts to measure life force and measure your aura increasement. So just understand that your memory is not yourself. Your memory, it's an application that we use wrongly to perceive when we are not made for that. Memory and thought is not for perceiving. For perceiving is the skin and the perception of increasement and joy and like expansion, explosion. And memory doesn't allow that to happen freely. So every time you say, I'm a free being, just check out your memory. Every time you get angry, check out your memory. Every time you get upset or you get nostalgic, check out what are you watching that no one else is watching, hearing or seeing. You are the only one watching that holographic idea. Comparing that idea with what happens is what creates your own conflict. So you can check, I have my name here, evolution.net has a lot of information about this and how to eradicate all the issues on Earth by identifying the constructs that allows humanity to perceive fragmented what is unified and how basically to fix it. But for now, let's work on you. Let's work on you and in your freedom. Because if you really want to be free and you really want to create a future for yourself that you are increasing joy and enjoying life and lasting however until whenever you have to last, but at the end those moments until you disappear from this frame of existence, you enjoy it. That's the most relevant thing. It doesn't matter if you last 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 5 years, 50 years. The point is that you have a happy life and a free life. And for that, the only thing to be like most aware of is your conditioning memory, your domesticated memory. How many constructs we've been taught in the school about fragmented water, fragmented bodies, fragmented races, fragmented humanity. So you meet someone and you say, you dress up like that, you might be X, Y, Z. boxed, so you have to behave like this, and your memory is already just creating a big movie about the creature you have in front, without knowing nothing, just supposing. And suppositions and expectations are the source of all the conflicts. If suppose water is fragmented, we allow toxicity. Nowadays, we put a lot of what they call sanitizers that have a lot of chemicals on it, and we spray everything, and we put chemicals in our body. I don't know, mostly people do, and in the hair. And we think, oh, it's the skin, is the external part of the body. No, the skin is the biggest part of the body. So if you put chemicals on it, you put waxes and you put like petrol things on it, you will lose the antenna. It's not only the hair, it's the antenna, it's the skin. So for you to be free to act with what happens for real, you need to be within your antenna, feeling how life works, how life increases life force, how the frequencies makes you higher or shrinking, because my entire career is about perception and how to normalize frequencies as the standard, because as Dan Winter and other inventors understood, or Tesla, they understood that there's only energy happening, and that energy has proportions and patterns that are replicable. Today, we want to explore a lot of people that understands how to create devices and restore life force within you by using those proportions and those patterns. But you have the best device, that is your own self. Yourself as an antenna, as a life needs to be clean. If you put waxes and chemicals within you, or not only consume it, just on top of you, your antenna will not work. So if you really want to be free, check out your memory and check out what you consume. For happiness, because everything is frequencies and frequencies are the standard, we need to understand that everything we consume will become. So not only what you consume in entertainment, in music, will make your memory project one potential on another. It depends on what you see in the news, what you hear in the music you hear. You will create ideas with it. You will not think in kuchuflus if you don't hear kuchuflus. And you will only see pineapples if you only listen to pineapples. So you are like a radio cassette. Whatever you put in your memory, you will sing it. Until you understand how to stop memory completely, that we're going to explore it right now, you will use what you know to perceive. And that is using expired knowledge and using a radio cassette, not to tune with all the radio stations that you can hear live changing all the time, is to use the cassette on and on, thinking about what you already know. For you to increase your life force and for you to increase your frequency, you need to explore what you're consuming. Not only in entertainment or in news or wherever, in food. Because frequencies are the standard, you need to be aware of how you consume food, because that food will increase or decrease your life force. So the composition of food is really relevant, because everything is energy, everything is frequencies. So if you check out nature as a rainbow and food as a rainbow too, so you have in the bottom the red and the violet on the top, then you will see that depending on how food decompose, you will increase your frequency or decrease your frequency. So we're going to visualize how really easy it is to understand what to consume and what to avoid. First of all, fruit. When you make a smoothie and you put it in a jar and you close it, when you open 20 minutes the smoothie, afterwards it goes and goes gas, because fruit ferments. It creates gas. That is the highest frequency. Cereals and vegetables decompose. That is, fruit will be violet and violet blue. And from there, vegetables, cereals, eggs, they decompose. From eggs, milk, fish, and meat. Sorry, I don't know if it's so long, I can't even say it. All that is corpses is from red to yellow. So please avoid the consumption from red to yellow. So don't consume any corpse of nothing that is putrefying, because the composition of food, it will make your energy. It will increase your energy or decrease your energy. So if you consume any corpse of animals or anything that will putrefy, you will decrease your frequency, decrease your life force. So avoid it completely and see what happens within you. Just make a calendar in your home, put a 21-day calendar and say, I'm going to check out what happens if I avoid consumption of putrefaction for 21 days. Because you are living inside of a creature that has 7 meters, fragmenting the intestine in the bottom, not this one, 7 meters of live entities, alive entities in your intestine, that is your immune system. Those entities are connected straight through your spine and your nerve system, and all your creature is connected to that. So if you create a diet that is based in low frequency, those creatures that are 7 meters living within you, they will take over and you will start athifying yourself. That means that you will not be free to act with who you are, because you will be basically managed by the creatures within your intestine that are your immune system. The immune system works much better if it's alkaline. So if you're kind of worried about your health or whatever that is happening in the world, keep your alkaline diet and avoid any putrefaction in your consumption for 21 days and see what happens. So avoid meat, fish, eggs, dairy, or nothing that acidifies like sugar or coffee. Avoid that for 21 days and see what happens with your happiness, with your life force, and how much energy you have, and how great you sleep, and how amazing dreams you have, because you don't need nothing that had been suffering. So you can rest, you have no bad thoughts, you have less judgment, you have less anger, and you have no nightmares because you are not eating animals that are suffering. So you don't have to read those wavelengths of their creatures by digesting it. And do your best to rise the standards and eat only high frequency. So it's fruit, the better, and don't mix it with nothing else, because fruit has a decomposition that is fermentation, so it's completely different as the rest. So don't mix fruit with nothing, and you will be happy all day long, and not perceiving the dust on the floor, perceiving the beauty through the window, and not perceiving what your friend did wrong, just perceiving what you have in common to keep the relationship going on, instead of being acidic, that allows you to takes over your perception, and you lose your freedom of being happy and in peace because you are focusing on what is wrong and fragmenting what is wrong with what you know, because your immune system had took over your existence. So from here, I'm just sharing all this because I want you to be happy, I want you to be free, and I want you to be a light bomb, a lighthouse around with high frequency that will basically imprint that high frequency around you in your environment, and that will make the environment change without you doing nothing, just by being there in high frequency mode. And it looks kind of how you're not going to do nothing, but just by being high frequency, you will impact the entire environment, and that will increase life force in everyone. And then when you explore and you challenge what you've been taught, that is completely upside down because it's based in fragmentation from an obsolete Cartesian paradigm, you can take over your own experience and be the owner of your existence by owning your perception and owning what you consume, for ensuring that you are living in a high frequency state, in a high frequency existence, where the world can be crumbling around and you keep your inner peace, because you understand that if you allow your memory to throw and open potentials of negative futures, you will destroy yourself, you will destroy your immune system, you will get low frequency, and you will manifest a harmful reality around you. That will be explored later. But right now, I just wanted to make an introduction about how we lose freedom. It's not about people telling what to do to you. It's about allowing memory to get in the middle of existence and get in the process of perception, how you realizing it. So I'm gonna just let me know if you have any questions about this, that I can go deeper in any topic that you are interested, like emotions or conflicts, or how to stop the maniacs that are trying to control the entire world. Poor traumatized kids that they were limited their freedom when they were young, and now they are trying to tell everyone how to behave and implement what they know, completely confusion. So please let me know if anyone has a question about what I've been like resuming a bunch of topics. Please write down in the chat because I can read it. Yeah, and because we as humans have, like right now, the possibility of making a huge by sharing with the representatives that are doing their best, the ones that try, doing their best to secure a future that is healthy. So if we understand the perceptive error of separation, we can basically share with them how the source of the disorders started. So we map out and color-coded how to basically erase. I'm going to share the screen for you to see something that is already described. How the perceptive error of separation is creating all the disorders on Earth. So we have this website that I'm sharing right now. This is evolution.net, and here in the SDGs, we share how we create all these hallucinations about fragments of a spherical planet. So the question is time to challenge human perception, as we are the only animals destroying Earth. Fragmented the sphere and water. So there is a map of Earth that completely full of names and flags. That is the source of all the issues that we are living right now. So we map out what is really happening. We redid the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, because we realized that they didn't include weapon trafficking and human trafficking, neither programmed obsolescence that is destroying a lot of natural landscapes. So the lack of perception of frequencies as the standard limits humanity creativity, because we think with what we know, and we don't understand frequencies as a standard, we don't understand nature patterns, we don't understand golden mean, negentropy, sacred geometry. We have a harmful industry. We create unsustainable cities and harmful communities that are decreasing life force. We invent a lot of devices, antennas, and a lot of electric artifacts that are not based in nature proportions. So we basically decrease our life force by using and creating electrosmog around us. And not only that, we don't take in account, because we don't understand frequencies as standard, we don't get in account how basically to create devices that increases life force and increases joy and happiness, and how to create devices that are not ending up in an African mountain full of rubbish that is called a recycling program. And you can hear the United States managers saying, "Oh, I've been working in this 10 years. It's a really difficult issue, and at least these African people now has a job that is taking the copper out of the cables." And you're like, "What? These people were fishing in the river, and now they're burning computers that we get rid of like nothing happens, or oh, my phone, oh, new phone, yeah, okay, it's fine. But where is this ending up, and how to fix it?" So right now we are really happy because we've been meeting a lot of inventors that creates devices with pieces that are unbreakable and devices that are created to increase life force. That is the first that we map out. So by understanding the unified field and understanding frequencies as a standard, we can create a new completely industry of making cities, buildings, devices, and responsible consumption and production, packaging, and a lot of innovation in infrastructure. That's the main thing that is destroying the world is rubbish and electrosmog and the limited intelligence of representatives. So we map out the new SDGs with it. The second part is about understanding water unified. As I showed you before here, we've been taught water like this. So we've been taught a lot of constructs that fragments what is unified. And when water in reality is like this, is totally united. Because we are, if you put an air conditioner in your house, that machine will get water from the air. That means that you are immersed in water all the time. There's water within you, water in the air, water liquid, water ice, steam, ether. There's just water, and we are on the side of it. But we've been taught water like this. So we have a concept to fragment water, and we allow pollution and we allow destruction of water. So by identifying water unified, we can eradicate the, oops, sorry, no, this is not. We can eradicate the 4 SDGs related with nature. There are no clean water, no sanitation, climate change, no life below water, and no life on land. As you see, we mock up the SDGs and we express it for real like they are. So by understanding water unified, we can ask representatives and CEOs and corporations to implement the devices like nanoresonance devices, imploders, frequencies devices that restore water. And please avoid and forbid in your community to pipe all the water, because that will be water debt, and that water will not hydrate you. So it's not about the amount of water you drink, it's how alive is the water you drink. So don't allow anyone to pipe the water if you can avoid it, because it's not only about what the pipes are made of, it's that the water needs to spin, and that's why water is alive, because it spins in vortex. If we break that cycle, we will basically dehydrate the cells, and it's not about getting aged, it's about dying, because you need alive water. So by identifying water unified, we will start creating programs to implement these devices that restore the substance we are all living together inside, and stopping all type of chemicals and all type of toxins, or mixing the periodic table in a toxic way. That humans are really good at that. And the third part, to erase all the SDGs, is basically understanding that humanity is a huge family stepping on a sphere, and a sphere has no lines. So by behaving together, we can fix what we did when we were perceiving through constructs about separation that created poverty, hunger, no education, no gender equality, no work rights, no peace, no justice, and all the type of trafficking of humans, organs, guns, and chemicals and weapons and all that we do, because we perceive that we have to take care of the ones we know instead of taking care of the entire human family together as they are. So if we really want to make a difference, we really need to check out memory straight, to check out the constructs that are allowing stupidity and harmful behavior. And you can see, like here, I have another PDF that showcase the patterns of a harmful human. That is that someone that believes he's separated, someone that believes that his family is a part of human family, someone that believes in countries, fragmented planet, and fragmented water, someone that is looking for acknowledgement or the things that deserves more or better than others, someone who has a score of fulfilling money instead of life force, and someone that thinks that competition makes you grow, and that some species are separated from others. He doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand the trophic chain, so he believes that competition is the way. And of course, they believe in time and distance because they are from the obsolete Cartesian paradigm. And we really, really need to focus in making common awareness the unified and the holographic paradigm, because they are the ones describing reality interconnected as it is, and in a peaceful way, and in a cooperative and a fraternal way. We can fix what we did by being led or taught by confused people that has all this mindset full of ideas that they see as real, they see as truth, as you saw the pineapple in front of you, but you couldn't saw the kuch flu. These people perceive with what they know, and what they know are based in no reality. So this pattern, this mind pattern, can describe someone that is greedy, someone that is violent, someone that is stupid, and someone that is harmful. And you know what? It matches with the pattern of an schizophrenic. Because if you see any description of a doctor about schizophrenia, is someone who sees things that doesn't exist and act like they are existing. With all my respect of all the people that are tuning with other dimensions, and they see things that people don't see, and they end up in a mental institution, or the ones who didn't control the substance they had and they can't see other real, they can't handle it right now. I'm talking about normal people, common people, representatives that sees rivers' existence and sees like they exist, and oceans a part of other oceans, and their family more relevant than other people's family, and they see races a part of other things, and these people can be declared as schizophrenic. So if you're a doctor or a psychiatrist, I will suggest you to check out who you are represented by, and make a receipt and sending him to or her to a mental institution or to a mindful retreat, or maybe an ayahuasca session, or whatever. He can reset his memory or her memory and act with what really happens to implement this type of pattern of the mind that is more someone that understands that you are stepping on a spherical planet, that time is kind of relative, if it's like a block of all the possibilities together, or just something that humans invented that doesn't describe nothing happening, or it's just the part of the spinning vortex which thought you focus and fragment. This will be like considered time, but time really in now doesn't exist. So the ones that are updating their memory with awareness, more awareness, or deeper understanding of reality, they have this type of mindset that is more beneficial to nature because it's based in deeper truths, in more clear truths, like people that think that understands that nature is an interconnected life being, and Earth is all united by not only water but all the root system, and they are all communicating through electric fields, and that every animal on Earth, every sentient being or not sentient, deserves respect and bloom and thrive and joy. Not only us, we are not the top of nothing. We are really confused. And that creativity is, it has to be in service of freedom, not in service of war, that we have to stop ourselves to let ourselves be hired by the military industry to create video games or content of any shape or form that is harmful or increases violence or increases lack of sensitivity, because what we really need as humans is tenderness and sensitivity and presence. For that, the creators, we really need to be aware of not allowing anyone to put our creativity in service of nothing that is not more love and more peace and more joy. And because we all deserve happiness, as animals we all deserve happiness. Doesn't matter which is the color of your skin, because you are my cousin anyway. You are everyone's cousin. If you made a long DNA test, you will see that you are from all over the place. So there's no races here in an atomic level. Don't allow them in front of you yourself, and don't get like, because I'm this color, I'm better. Because I'm this eyes, I'm better. Because that is all fragmentation, and nature doesn't have a clue about that. Nature knows about life force and life thriving, and that's the main thing we have to put our creativity to. For that, we really need to understand how memory is conditioned and how the perceptive system works, and how by identifying the constructs we've been taught, we can pass from living like this, that is the fragmented Cartesian paradigm, to live like this, that we understand how to follow what makes your hydrogen explodes, what makes your life force explodes, and how to really be aware of what is going on right now and act with what happens for the entire environment to thrive with you inside. So for you to understand, because everything is frequencies, when you think about the fragment and you project that fragment not existing, you say, I don't like you, or I don't want you to be here, or I hate you, whatever, you are making that life form to implode through the vortex and go lower frequency. But because you are immersed in the same environment, you basically are shrinking your own self. So we have in the website I showed you before few movies that describes this in virtual reality scenarios for you to explore deeper if you want. I will add this to the chat now. And here you can see there is a description of the gears of thinking I've been talking to you in a video that you can see through virtual reality, or you can see in your laptop. And there are another one to describe Earth interconnectivity and how we are completely confused thinking about water fragmented, or we even think that petrol or fuel can be sucked from Earth because we don't understand unification. We've been taught fragmentary planet. So we don't understand that Earth is a ball of fire, and on top of that there is a bunch of black, thick thing that we call fuel. And it's black and it's thick because it absorbs heat. So if humans want to restore the temperature on Earth, we need to stop destroying the air conditioner that is the black, thick thing on top of the ball of fire that we call petrol or fuel. Instead of that, humans that are confused, that they think about ownership and fragmentation, they drill the floor and say, oh, there's petrol here, I'm going to become rich. Okay, let's suck a little bit more. And not only that, let's burn it. So we did a virtual reality video that you can check out in that website for you to understand how to raise confusion and how to stop the leaders or the representatives, the self-taught leaders in your community, and restore nature. And in this one, you can see water unified is well described in 6 minutes. And in this one, in the vortex, you will understand that each intention creates an impact in the environment. So by thinking good and wishing good and creating life force increasement, by pointing your attention and your perception and in positive, in good, and increasing others people's joy or others people's acknowledgement or gratefulness about what they are doing, then you will benefit your own self. So for you to be free completely, you need to understand how intention impacts matter, what we call matter, and how life force increases when you acknowledge what is happening, when you're grateful of it, when you, because this is consciousness. To be conscious is to be aware of what is happening. You can see a tree, and maybe someone that is fragmentary perception will see 2 chairs and a table. And someone will say, oh, there's a bunch of money in this tree because I can sell it and make paper, and these people will do this and that. And someone else that is more aware that he was made or she was made by nature, he will say, wow, tree, wow, thank you for surviving. Wow, you're amazing. Thank you for the shade you give us. Thank you for the oxygen you give us. Thank you for giving home to birds and insects. Thank you for keeping earth glued to the ground, because otherwise the rain will take over. Thank you for sucking water from the bottom. Thank you for just giving us your superpowers. So by acknowledging the tree for real, the tree will increase life force. And while he does that, you will increase life force. So that is consciousness, to be conscious of something, to acknowledge the service and to wish good. And that's the main thing. It's not only about trees, it's about everything you have around. Because if you don't do that, it's because you might be trapped in this. That is the not understanding of the gears of thinking, of the 5 hard disks of memory that we described before, how we think out of our head and we project holograms in front of us that doesn't allow us to perceive within expansion or implosion, or that doesn't allow us to perceive perfection outside of ourselves. And on top of that, that takes over our own freedom to be present. That is the only way to be loved. Because we are trapped in the 5 hard disks of memory knowledge thrown in front of us. And as we described before, this is the hard disk of intentions, fantasy, culture, others people's experience, and your own experience. All that knowledge that you have recorded in your memory is past. And because it's past, it doesn't make any sense in present. So please check out your memory, check out how you lose love, and keep it within you, because this is what made you be here. Let me close this and just a second, because the next speaker is talking to me, and let's remove this here. So, oh, thank you. Someone said, we've created a space for you to teach us the game of now. The game of now is really simple. Let's finish with this. I'm going to show you the trick to stop thought. It's really simple, because we think here, we think outside here. What we have in our memory, that I draw the gears of thinking with the memory in the back, because memory is past, and it's like we think that the past is in the back and future is in the front. But anyhow, it's just to identify, so you can check out what is making you lose your peace, what is making you lose your freedom for real. And then by identifying it, you stop it, and you're like, oh shit, I'm watching pineapples and no one else are seeing it. So because your attention is here in the structure of the gears of thinking, you can basically look at within your inner joy, and if it's not there, check out what are you watching that is not happening. And if you don't want to do the process of seeing which memory is really destroying your present moment, you can basically make the simplest trick. Is that you look at your cheeks, and by looking at your cheeks, you can't think. There is a trick. To be mindful, you don't have to go to any therapist or any mindfulness guru or whatever. You own your experience. You don't need nothing. Just look at your cheeks and listen what is happening outside for 10 seconds now. And if you want to make a plus, just put your hands on top of your heart and perceiving your heartbeat, looking at your cheeks and listening to what happens outside that is changing all the time, listening to the complete symphony of creation that is happening now, then you are mindful. You are totally present. You are now itself. You are negentropy happening. You will increase your life force because no opinion will destroy the perception of perfection. And you can meditate. It's so simple. Just why to keep, no, don't pass the process. Just switch off the gears of thinking by looking at your cheeks, because attention can only be put in one place. To think, you have to think out here. It can be up, down, it depends on which type of folder you open. But if you look straight to your cheeks and listen to the entire symphony happening, you will become mindful. And when you practice that, stay there 30 seconds, 1 minute. Whenever you get struggling with someone, or with something that you get annoyed, or you get in conflict, or you have like a lot of negative opinions that decrease your life force, just do this. On top of that, if you use isotropic vision, you will start using your pineal gland that will enlighten the rest of the glands in your brain. But that's another topic for another talk. That we can invite some friends that do 3D models for this. But to be mindful and to recover your peace and to recover your freedom, please stop thinking. And if you think in properly patterns that are based in unification and based in how reality really works, that is unified, not separated by confusion, because confusion is what we've been taught. And now we are really, really relevant in a relevant moment of life that we need to shift completely the paradigm of. A paradigm is a bunch of beliefs that creates the perception of reality. We've been taught a lot of crap that doesn't make any sense, and we really need to identify it to shift behavior and recover our animal within and recover the possibility of being free to act with what increase your life force in peace and to be the love we are, because you don't never know when it's going to be the last time you're going to be able to love. And if you want to check out every time that someone cries in a funeral, is because it didn't love enough the one in the box. So don't allow yourself to be the one crying. Allow yourself to be the one celebrating that whatever is changing and mutation, you don't know when the caterpillar becomes a butterfly, when the butterfly puts the egg, and the egg becomes a caterpillar, the makes a chrysalida, and then life never stops. How you perceive it is going to make your existence. So check out how you perceive and be the love you are, because you deserve so. And we love you anyway, but we really like when high frequency creatures are around. So please make a legion of high frequency creatures sharing what you understood, and write me anytime if you have any thought about it or any question. And from here, I'm going to pass to the next talker, that is Marisa Lilis. She is an amazing inventor and developer and scientist that understands light, color, and sound and voice, and how to heal yourself with your own voice. So let me see where it's at, because I think she might. Okay, now I'm telling her, get inside the link. Okay, where is the? Let me invite her again. So here you go. She's been exploring all over the world with the best scientists about colors, wavelengths, sounds, life force, negentropy, how things work basically. And she's going to explain us what she understood. And she recovers her own self. She has an amazing history, and she's a super powerful woman that I really respect, because what she understands and how she behaves. And let's see what she has to show us for us to own our own experience and heal our own selves using our own voice and using the environment properly and colors and sounds properly, and how we can, by acknowledging how light works and life force works, how to increase our life force and our joy. Oh, she's telling me she was using her link because I never stopped the other link. Sorry. Okay, now here she comes. Okay, share the screen. I'm going to introduce to her. Just give me a minute. Sorry. This is the live things about live hosting and talking at the same time. Here she comes. She lives in an amazing house made in a negentropy shape, knowing how life force works. She maintains herself alive and happy. Okay, here she is.
Hola.
Hello, Marisol.
Hi, how are you?
Really happy to see you. And thank you for waiting. I totally lost track of time.
Yeah, well, here I am in the south of Spain. It's
Thank
raining for a long time. It hasn't rained, so a lot of strange things happened today. The connection went, etc. So
Yeah, the trees are really happy when it rains. So I bless rain. Whenever rain comes, I think now rain. Thanks God, all the animals.
well, yeah, we needed it. We really needed it. So I'm happy that we have it. So I couldn't hear your whole speech, but I got some of it.
Thank you for being here with us, and thank you for sharing with the people how to make a quantum leap, like a big. I hope what we spoke before helped them to make a quantum leap and change completely DNA to become the highest creature they are, just erasing all the limitations based in beliefs or whatever we are limited by. And could you please share with the audience a little bit an introduction of yourself, and so they can understand the depth, if you can resume it, because they need like a Wikipedia just to tell what you know, but just a little.
Well, I'm very old. Really, I am. So I've been around for a long time, and I have been doing a lot of things in this field for 40 something years. I have been working actually always behind some of the guys that were doing something important, like Jose Arguelles. I was really behind him when he did the harmonic convergence and the whole change of calendar. Then I left because I thought he had to simplify it so that everybody should use it. But I've always sort of been involved in some way, and I've done a lot of things. I have I was framed by the Pleiadians so that I would introduce the Native Americans to the Spanish crown in 1992 because they were celebrating the quincentennial and nothing was talked about the Indians. So I did that too, and I have researched a lot about. I'm an artist, first of all. That's very important because as a creative person, creativity is the most important, and humans are mostly creative and adaptable. That's why they cannot get us, because we adapt. And we adapt to illness, we adapt to virus, we just adapt. The only thing is that really it's a pity that we have been so manipulated that we don't know anything about our body, and we have been caught by the weakest or the most vulnerable position, because now it seems that medicine is a religion because we cannot deal with our own body. And I tell you that there is not such a thing. Not only we know all about the pharma that keeps us, it's a corporation that keeps us sick. I've been teaching a lot of self-healing. And I was teaching self-healing a long time before with cranial sacral therapy, with pineal gland activation, with cranial sacral therapy, which is very important because, it's all related. And I've studied a lot about evolution of the cranium as well, or how we're going to do evolution. I have a couple of videos now. Well, I'm doing the second one, which talks about the quantum leap we're going to be doing. But the first one is talking about the 4 T's and telepathy, telekinesia, teletransportation, and stop time, which are the 2 first ones should be available on us if we really are connecting to our biological evolution that is coming, because we have a lot more light in the climate change, the whole thing, all of this is due to climate change, because the climate change is in the whole solar system. Very few people can tell you what I'm telling you, and it's in the whole solar system. So there's more light, and the sun is not is really actually acting quite strange. And the secret of all secrets is what's coming to us in the near future. And they're supposed to decided that this time humanity is going to overcome the threshold of extinction, and under their conditions. And under their conditions, they buy everybody, and they buy all the judges, and they buy all the governments, because they're the ones that are going to save the world. So we have to take over that project of a Tesla shield over the Earth. Yes, a shield that makes the Earth totally protected from anything outside, actually makes that even invisible. It exists. Tesla did it. He called it the machine to end all wars. And, let's hope that it will be. And the HARP are there to create that. That's why there's so many HARPs. And of course, they've been using it to fight each other and do all of these disagreeable threats. I don't want to talk about anything negative, because it's too much negativity out there. But I have to talk a little bit about myself, in the sense that I've been researching, I said, honest sound and light. I have a software for voice analysis, and in the voice you see all the frequencies, and I can specialize the frequencies for each person, which is important, because if you hit the stressed note in their voice, you're going to make them really imbalanced, but in an imbalanced way that is psychological as well as physical, and it's very hard to recognize what matter with them. So as a cranial sacral therapist, I know about the cranial evolution as well, how it's going to is the sphenoid bone, which is a butterfly that swings here, has to be moving and completely in many directions, and actually it was flat, and the curvature is curving, and that will be another big curvature, and it will light the pineal gland in the center. But that's going to be the fifth dimension. That's not going to be for us now. So what we're entering now, we're not in it yet, is the fourth dimension. And what is the fourth dimension about? It's about rejuvenating. It's be able to learn how to move in time, how to back in time cells, which is actually what we're doing. My associate, Elizabeth Donovan, who's a physicist, electrical engineer of Tesla, and biologist, knows a lot about traveling in time. That technologically, she has all the skills. So I'm an artist, I have a lot of ideas, and we are a very good team together. So we are creating instruments to be able to help rejuvenate, which is called phase conjugation. It's a term of physics which actually can regress cells to a previous time, which actually the laser is a phase conjugator, because it's, as I can explain it in very simple language, is the laser, you don't see the beam until it touches matter, because the beam regresses by the way it went, it comes back, and it eliminates itself. So this, the laser is going to be always used for all the time machines. So also they use certain crystals to correct the image from fiber optic in surgery, because the fiber optics, of course, if it's long cord, then it deforms the image, and with certain crystals that do phase conjugation, they get it perfectly as it was previously. So this whole thing is about knowing how to go back in time, and this is happening to us all the time, as well as getting information from our future self. So if we get information from our future self, because we're in contact with ourself, which has to do with the pineal gland, then we maybe can get to what we all want. It's knowing that we better not go there, or we better not do that, because something will happen and we can avoid it. Now we have messages, we have this, but we're too confused with this world, what's going on now. to be able to pick up the clear messages and to pick up how to avoid or to listen to those messages that come from your future self. Now, we have to practice clear mind, of course. You have to be in the now with your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, and your actions in the now to pick up all those subconscious thoughts. That is a whole practice that we all know how to get it through meditation. Everybody takes whatever time, everybody is different. So the two things I have to tell you as good news: we are evolving because we have more light coming from the sun, more UV light also because not only the ozone hole, but it's the magnetofield, which is known to connect to our emotions. And I will show you now the experiments that have demonstrated that the magnetic field is connected to our emotions. So when we get all of us together into a subject like was 9/11, we would actually the magnetospheres of the magnetoscopes of climate actually showed signals that we were all connected. So also, if we are connected together through the magnetofield, and now we have these huge anomalies, which are huge holes, that is climate change. The holes that are called Atlantic anomaly, please look it up. Don't trust me, look it up. Pacific anomaly, Atlantic anomaly, the African anomaly, they don't talk much about it because it's close to Europe. It comes in through Spain, through Granada, when there's huge storms, because we're going to have electric storms with lightnings that are very, very high up. You've seen it, actually, if you are in California. Last year you had, in March, I don't know which day, 5 minutes of 1,500 lightnings. I don't know, you lived it, I didn't. But this is what's going to happen in this. The response of the Earth to the sun is doing a pole shift, a magnetic pole shift. We don't know how this happens. It might happen every 12,500 years, and we don't remember. We don't have history. We just know that it has happened before, and all the records of the sediments of Earth have been manipulated so that we wouldn't know the time we're here. We are really in the threshold of life and death for humanity. And they are taking advantage of that. They want us all robotized by the time this happens, and this is not going to happen. We really are very strong. We are receiving an immense immune system because the immune system depends upon light. So we have more UV light because of these holes. The mutations are happening more to the South Americans because the Atlantic anomaly is all over South America now. It enters sometimes through this strange phenomena in the sky in Florida or Texas. Sometimes it touches Texas, and the Pacific anomaly enters California sometimes, and then there's huge electric storms, and then it leaves. Then the African anomaly enters through Granada into Spain, and that one's the most secret of all. They don't care about Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii gets the Pacific anomaly. They don't care about South America, but they do care about Europe. So that's a secret. Well, another one is getting formed now. The one that got formed in 2015 went to Africa. Now another one's going to get formed in a certain area, we don't know why, next to Barcelona, and that's why there's so much rain in Barcelona and that area. And if not, the storms there, and if not, it goes to Italy, the north of Italy. Then there's huge hail and huge storms because that's what it is. The holes. That's why they don't get the climate now together, because it changes, because they don't know about space weather. They know about Earth weather, and that's depending on space weather. So it changes really fast for them. So they don't predict as well as they should. They should predict better, but now something else is happening. So the South Americans are a little bit ahead in the mutation because they have no they are all open to the sky. They have to put a lot of creams because they have UV. And of course, if there's a sunstorm, it goes directly and cuts electricity. That's the next phase that will happen in 2025, that they'll start talking about it. Because until now, the magnetosphere was sort of holding, and the last solar cycle, that was 2012, it was amazing because none of the sunstorms came directed to Earth. One that came directed to Earth, it seems like the sun knew what it was doing, because it was when Netanyahu was threatening. Then he stopped threatening, and it takes 2 days to arrive a sunstorm, and it did zigzag and it went somewhere else. So who did that? The sun did it, who did it? We don't know. But that was the only one that was an X5 that was getting direct to us. So the way we found this out is because of the solar minimums are getting longer, and the solar minimums getting longer. Look it up too. We shouldn't be the solar maximum in 2025. It's a little longer. So there are more cosmic rays coming in. That also is more light. Then a lot of lightning is more light. So we're going to have a huge amount of light coming in. And we're not talking about ET messages or any of this that talk about the fifth dimension, because we are not entering the fifth dimension. The fourth dimension is about learning about time, learning to go back on time, learning to take cells back on time to rejuvenate, as well as synchronicity. That I'm asking you to watch your synchronicity. Everything suddenly fits perfectly without very much effort. That is the quality of time. That's the quality that you are connected with your higher self and your time clock, which is around your body, so as well. So then everything is synchronous, and by synchronicity you can guide your life, and you know what's happening. So this is something that you can all watch, that is happening to all of us. There's more synchronicity, and sometimes it's amazing. Every day we'll have some synchronous moment, something synchronous that seems to come and help you or guide you. So that is part of the evolution that we are going through in the fourth dimension, rejuvenation and synchronicity. So this video we have already done in English. It's Elizabeth and myself talking about this. Elizabeth, my associate, and then we're doing another video. It's taking time because I have really busy with a lot of things. So the other video is about how we're going to do the quantum leap, and also that all illness is solution in planet Earth. It's true. If we got rid of the corporation of the pharmaceutical, which is actually making us sick, so healing something and giving us something to get, again, to continue sick, as well as the vaccines. Elizabeth has studied the vaccines. They're full of shit. They're full of viruses of the cells of the pigs and mouse and horses, whatever they do. They don't clean it up. So that's probably why there's so much chronic illness on people. So it's a question of keeping us sick. And where did this happen? This happened after the Second World War, because eugenics, which was these Nazis were experimenting on doing a higher race, and they were very advanced in their scientific experiments, and the Americans wanted to know about that, so they went to the United States. So eugenics continued, and all what we know, if you have followed what's going on with this virus, or con virus that I call, is that it's artificial, and that all the vaccines during the last 11 years are made to actually get you sicker. That's why a lot of the old people that have all these vaccines have died, as well as all of this that has to do with 5G and the PCR tests that are getting the sequence of our DNA. And I can tell you that with frequencies, I can put a frequency that you don't hear in your mobile, and I can put you to sleep with melatonin. I can get you really nervous or actually hysterical if I put substance P of your, that is when you get nerve crashes, a substance, because what we know through the voice is that whatever nutrient or substance is active in your voice, it appears as frequency in your voice. Of course, there's a lot, and you have to learn how to handle it and which ones is what you have to listen to. But the same reason as they appears in your voice, and this is, we have it proven, and not myself, a lot of people in the United States, this is from a lot of people in the United States. They had to go underground because somebody was paid by the farmer to put them all into trouble, and they all went to underground. I continued because I'm in Spain. So it comes from a lot of Americans, this thing that the molecular weight appears in the voice. So if the molecular weight appears in the voice of whatever substance is active at that moment, we can also give frequencies of substances. So I actually demonstrate that to myself by doing some waves of DMT, and definitely everybody was happy to know how to do DMT, and it actually, some people did hallucinate. It was really easy to relax, to have more vivid dreams, and some people that were ready maybe did astral body projections, these things that are of the fourth dimension. What is the fourth dimension? It's understanding the other side. It's understanding that all of this around us is full of something we don't see, and we have to get to see. And that is what we have to evolve to, as well as telepathy, which we have little spurts, moments that we have. Telekinesis, I don't know who has it, but it's about your really magnetic field, which has to do with the emotions. So it's, I don't know how much of this you guys know, because I have a lot of videos. I have more than 1,000 hours of videos in Spanish. I have a few in English only. So the last ones I am doing in both languages, because the last ones it's more or less the scientific behind it to the two things I'm offering humanity now, which is a sort of a voice analysis game to be able to know about your emotions and about how to heal yourself, which is very important. As I tell you, as I've gone through leukemia from radiation, which is the same as radiation from Hiroshima, thyroid gland gone. So, and it comes 20 years later. And there's lots of radioactivity in the United States. I have, sorry to tell you, we will have better tools to heal everybody, but we have to get rid of this monster pharmaceutical corporation. So we have electromagnetic instruments. We are doing some, and we can actually get to what they call it, chrysalids for whole body regeneration. And now we have small instruments with testing the technology. So this site, the last videos I have in English and Spanish are in YouTube, Lux Solidis. Lux Solidis is the site we have together for this. And then the Bio Lux Sonic is the voice analysis sort of games of consciousness. And that one is getting done. I'm very delayed, very slow. Not because of me, because I was ready in 2017. I had everything ready for 6 modules. You can actually talk about the bio-emotional centers, which are called chakras in the past. Now we should call them bio-emotional centers in the voice. The harmonics of the voice, the different octaves of the voice from low to high are actually expressing the different areas of your body and the different possibilities of the bio-emotional field. So you can get mandalas as well as songs, and I'm teaching how to feel them with your hands. It's really easy to feel them with the hands if you put one hand in front, the other one in the back, and you concentrate for a bit, and then you start feeling movement in your hands, which is under the hand, and it's really no movement. It's just something's happening in between your hands because you're connecting with it. It's really easy. I know that some people just get blocked, the same as when you say nanometers. Oh, what is that? Nano is actually, it's easier in Spanish because enano is a dwarf. So it's tiny. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny. Anyway, so to bore you very much me talking, I know I have a lot to talk about. And first of all, I want to leave this clear. We are entering into the fourth dimension, and the fourth dimension is giving us a new type of light because the sun is actually we have no holes that we are open to high space, which are called the anomalies, and those have been growing. And we are in a magnetic pole shift. We don't know how that happens, only that the poles, the north magnetic pole is coming down, and the south magnetic pole is already out of Antarctica, and they're seemingly, because they can't join, seemingly going to the same place, so that there's a moment that they'll jump. We don't know when that moment is. We don't know. It's close to 2040 something. We don't know if it's 2030. We don't know because we don't know about that. Maybe some people do know. But this whole thing about regressing in time and being able to connect with your future self is something that could be available to all of us already if we are connected and we have, it's that if we are artists, we are connected with the pineal gland. Other people have to do exercises or have to go to courses or things like that, but reality, we are connected. Then it is true that we are getting sicker, not only because the Wi-Fi's all bring the immune system down, and 5G hits the hemoglobin and the absorption of oxygen, so it goes hand in hand with the con virus. So we have to avoid this, and we have such thing as internet with LED lights, LiFi. So it was invented by a group of scientists and my associate in 1983. And in 1983, they invented teletransportation of data, but they went to the militaries. They didn't know they were working for the military. So it kept secret until now that somebody says, oh, we can do teletransportation of data. If they did teletransportation of data in 1983, don't you think they have something more now? So whatever, the whole secret space programs or whatever. We just want to know that we are getting stronger, and we have to believe that not only humans are adaptable, they are creative, and we are in a mess now. In a mess that has been growing and feeding this monster of dependency on the pharmaceutical, dependency on doctors that seem to be like religion, dependency on governments. But where do we want them? Politicians? They just take money from us and attention and distract us. So we have to learn to do our own world already. Okay, I've been with Native Americans. I am Cherokee. My Cherokee name is Tuyuktu, the one that wakes them up, because I helped them being recognized in 1982. They gave me that name. So if you guys are involved with Native Americans, you know that is the real spirituality we want. That's, I think, the thing that was to be recognized of them, that there's no such thing as religion. Religion is all a contraption to control. Education, another control. Money, it's a big virus. It's the biggest virus we have. So we have to, learn to navigate out of it. I think that we are doing right. We have, in Spain, we have Police for Freedom. We have, in the worldwide, we have Doctors for the Truth, and we have a lot of lawyers working on what we can say is the Nuremberg 2. The Nuremberg 2 will actually, I believe I'm an astrologer, and I believe it's going to be active in this December. because the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius has always been about laws. We have been under a very, very horrible conjunction, which is Saturn-Pluto. It's always cruelty, always cruelty. With Jupiter, things should be disclosed, but Jupiter-Pluto was always dogmatic measures, and that became pandemia. So we have been under this conjunction, triple conjunction, which is very rare this year, and we're in it now. But in December, Jupiter and Saturn conjunct 0 degrees Aquarius, and that's very significant. 0 degrees Aquarius, they enter. So it's like entering the Aquarian age, which is the fourth dimension, not the fifth. That was a song, the fourth dimension, and that it should be the time of people. Aquarius is social, society vision, the vision of the future. So we have to regain our power, our sobriety, and we have to hopefully this Nuremberg trials, they have to get there's lots of lawyers, international lawyers is the judges. They have to do an international jury, and that's what I guess they're involved. Robert Kennedy is one of them in the forefront of this, and let's hope that in Nuremberg trials can start happening in December, and that's when we have the upper hand. We shouldn't pay taxes if we are, of course we have to help the community, but I would pay taxes to my community for not politicians with ideologies and always talking, it's just to give them to know what the community needs, people that work for normal salaries that do it right, and you can see where your money goes. So it's completely the opposite. It's called decentralized government, which is the opposite from what they want, which is centralized governments, and that's why they are ready to break down the economy of every country to buy everything really cheap. So this is going on. But I think that we are actually going in the right way because people have to join. You see, the problem is we've gone to the maximum individualism, and now from all the individualisms we have to join. And we are actually, Spain is one of the testing grounds, and we are so divided in cultures. We have different languages in this little place that is like a state for you. We have 8 languages. And so we come from many different potting. It was like a place where everything was the cooking pot of a lot of cultures. So it's very hard for Spaniards to get to be together. But when we have a common goal and a common enemy, we will get together. So it's a question of time, and I hope that December we can see the first fruits of it. So that's
all the world is getting together and walking the streets and saying, "Hey guys, you are completely confused. We don't want your laws because they are based in confusion." And with people like you that has so many devices and so much wisdom about frequencies of the standard, and that, as you say, you can. I wish that we can just grab you and tell everyone with your knowledge how to develop the DMT frequency for everyone to be happy and in bliss, or how to
That's
how to develop joy frequency.
Confusion is the best way to get you down, to get you totally confused. Is one of the what is going on, So it's up to everyone themselves to get out of that confusion. So everybody has to do their own work for that. But I think we will be. There has to be a critical mass, and we're going to get to that critical mass. We might be to get all the way down to go jump, And I think if we thought we were down before, I think we're getting down to the ground now, so that we at least suddenly, it has to be spontaneous. It cannot be that one's like, harmonic convergence. If you guys know what harmonic convergence that I was part of, 1987, I was younger. But we had no internet. The way we got millions of people is because it came out in the video I'm doing. It's about subject. You see the Newsweek. It came in Newsweek. It came in Wall Street journals. It came like these men, people that are saying the end of the world is coming, and they're dancing and celebrating that the end of the world is coming. In reality, we were telling the chiefs we are ready. That's what reality we were doing, and it happened spontaneously. Because of the news criticizing us, it spread around to a degree that we had millions of people celebrating it all over the world, big time. And it was suddenly we knew that within 2-3 days before that it was happening to that degree. So now there's not such a person that says, "Oh, let's do this." The Pope was doing global meditations now just recently too. We know what the dark side does that too. So it has to be spontaneous. There has to be a moment that we get so desperate, that we get so impotent, the impotency and from desperation, that we say it's enough. And all together, suddenly it happens like the 100th monkey theory, the 100th monkey experiment, that a monkey started to wash the potatoes and so it was more tasty, and then the monkeys around started doing it, and when the 100th is just a number, 100th monkey did it, others that had no visual or physical contact started doing it. So that's what we have to get to do now. I don't know.
I was just wondering.
Maybe next year, maybe not this year yet, maybe next year, because things are not going to get better next year. It's when we have to do a big fight is next year. So
but I'm a fire starter and a producer. I always like my ideas are like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. So I was wondering, because the patterns and the codes of creating bliss within the brain, not only with your own voice, with the codes of sounds that are invisible or are not audible for others. I was thinking, what about putting a bunch of people with the speakers in the railway, coordinating the railway of an entire nation, fragmented space with a lot of, because the railways are metal, so we will pass the frequencies all over, just to say, hey, in 1 week at 5 p.m., we go there with the headphones and the boombox and everything, and we put it in the railway, and we just...
It has to be spontaneous.
Okay.
It has to happen suddenly. It not just have to be in a specific hour or a day. Maybe it's a whole week, or maybe it's 2 weeks, and we say, that's enough. The Hopi prophecy said we will all sit in the street, and there's going to be a lot of people in the street, homeless. We're going to sit in the street, and we say, that's it, you're not going to move us. That's the Hopi prophecy. You're not going to move us. We're going to sit here, and you're not going to move us. And this started to happen in Madrid, the 15M. It didn't get to that because it was just local, So suddenly you just see a lot of people doing that. A lot of people not going with the governments. A lot of people not paying taxes. Poor people of middle class don't pay taxes. So what is this going on? We have to get to natural law, because natural law is the same for everybody in every country. In what we have now, I don't know how it's called. In maritime law is what is it called?
No, it's maritime or admiralty law.
Admiralty law is what happens now, that every country has a different law. So if you do something in another country, big deal. You get immune, nothing happens to you. And this is what's going on with these big bad guys, So this is enough. We have to go to natural law, and that's what I hope that is starting to happen in December with this conjunction that Jupiter Saturn is always about laws, and we need a law that is for the people, because if not, we're totally impotent. So between seeing that some things are moving and they won't give up, I think by next year we will touch ground, and when we touch bottom, it's like a spring. And then Elizabeth came up with something that was wonderful, which was how the photons, because we know about morphogenetic fields, Rupert Sheldrake has told us about it, how really we create thought forms, which is called egregors from metaphysics, and thought forms that become reality and that influence other people. But the specific morphogenetic field is the way they call it scientifically. Well, it's also what we call the critical mass. Well, it's once we get to that critical mass of conscious people that say that's enough, we will jump. And Elizabeth was talking that would be like photons, because laser is coherent light, and this incoherent light, which is all these little movements, everything, everybody's talking about their thing, their subject, nobody's talking, nothing common, all the cells are going on, and then there's a group that rises up and get coherent and get all together, and they all have the same mind, and they're all acting together. Well, there's still a lot of what's happening now, a lot of gibberish, a lot of other incoherent minds going on around. Well, when suddenly another group of them go up, suddenly they all fall down coherent. So that is how, and this is how it happens with photons in the laser. So it's a physical reality that this happens, to go from incoherent light to coherent light. This happens. So we can say, guide us to see that this can happen. And we are getting more light, as I told you, and a stronger immune system is like we can recover the immune system we had when we were babies that we lost. Babies have a strong immune system of lymphocyte T, comes from the thymus. So recovering the thymus lymphocyte T is recovering the immune system, and also the capacity of feeling others, which is love. We all talk about it, talk about love and all of that, but let's make it practical, let's make it really scientific. It is true. It's lymphocyte T. It's an immune system. It's not having fear of touching others, not having fear of loving others, even if they're not going to love you, not having fear of feeling others and knowing that you won't get hurt because you don't want anything. You don't need anything. You can express love, and if it's received, fine. If it's not received, fine too. At least it healed you by expressing it. So when we get to a position where we welcome problems, because it's another learning, we have to have another solution, and you always get the problem fitting you have the solution for that problem. Nobody has solutions for that problem but you. When you know that all the mistakes were perfect, that all the roundabouts took you to the right place, there's such thing as supraconscious mind. That I think I should give you practice with that. The supraconscious mind actually is what the artists have very well developed, which takes you to serendipity, which is finding something you didn't know that you were looking for and making good of everything bad. So serendipity is creativity. Okay, so the supraconscious mind is how an artist actually is inspired, and boom, everything comes down. So when you're inspired, everything's perfect. You didn't even have to fix nothing. It's like an inspiration, but you have to be ready to get that inspiration. It's not like you're lucky and you got it. You have to work on that. So to trust in your superconscious mind, I would give you 2 exercises. One is, if you have to wake, whenever you use an alarm clock, you can put in your mind, I'll have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I know a lot of you have actually lived that and done that. 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or 8 o'clock every day, or whatever. You just put it in your mind at night to say, I have to wake up at 8 o'clock. You wake up at 1 minute before 8. Better than with the alarm clock. Do that. Then, I have to find a parking space. I have to find a purpose space there. Boom, you get it. The more you do it, the more you trust it, the more it works. I make myself invisible. I don't take masks. I don't wear masks. And I wear a hat. Okay, I have a hat with feathers, like a good Cherokee. So I'm not very much invisible, walking in front of the police with the with the hat. So you believe that you're invisible. They don't see you. They don't see you. This I learned from Native Americans. They know how to do a psychic seal. You know, it's a psychic seal like that. You can't see that. It's there, but you won't see it. Every time you think about it, you have to put that thought again. Believe in it. You know, parking lot, this, that. Those are less easy little things that you can do in your daily life so that you keep trusting better that you can get there.
That is because your own self. You trust yourself.
Well, you believe in yourself, first of all. There are 3 activations of the pineal gland. The first one is believing in yourself. You get very ego, very creative. It's really having a lot of self-esteem. And of course, a lot of people don't even have that, you know, and a lot of artists we do have it. You know, and the first is self-esteem and really believing in yourself and your individuality and that you'll be able to do this and you'll be able to do that and nothing happens here or that. So in reality, that is the first activation of the pineal gland where people are there. The second activation of the pineal gland is going down to the thymus. Because if you don't have intuition, which comes from the thymus, which is trusting your surrounding, trusting everything, opening your heart, opening your arms, being able to see from the back to the alpha, so you're an open vessel. And this comes from the thymus, and totally trusting your intuition. What else? If you don't trust your intuition, what will you have to? That's the first step to get somewhere, and that's where a lot of us are. If we already trust ourselves, now we have to trust others and trust the place where you are, trust where you're walking, trust. And do you trust everybody? Do you trust everything? Do you trust that nothing's going to happen to you? Do you trust that you're not going to get this virus? Do you trust that you can actually protect all the people of your family, all the people, all your loved ones? You have to visualize them. You can't trust everybody. You have to see their faces and I protect you. You won't have this. This won't happen to you. Then why would you worry about all this shit that's going around? You wouldn't. You can go without a mask. You know how shit that is. How much humiliation, how much more bullshit are they going to give us? People believe it. Fear, okay? Fear is the worst. Fear is the opposite of love. So the moment you have that, which I am too, then there's the third one, which is actually getting a lot of the methyltryptamine, DMT, and actually being able to have psychic powers or whatever you want. And that one, at times, the most important exercise of that is 21 days in total darkness. I haven't done it because I don't want to do it alone. But that is the one that activates your DMT and activates all your pineal gland and everything. Is the most. Mantak Chia does it, but I'm not going to go with people I don't know. So I'm waiting to do it with, when I have to do it with people that I want to do it with, no? So that one is, and also if they're not ready, if they haven't done all the others, it will only work a little bit. If you are more ready, if you've done all the other things, then it will work big time. I also was teaching with cranial work how to open the rays and have open a window to the future. So I have to tell you that, okay, I had leukemia from nuclear radiation. I'm a survivor from leukemia, so I didn't have self-esteem then. That's why I attracted leukemia. So now I have a lot of self-esteem. But you have to go through that and know that I knew that I was going to have leukemia, that I knew that I wasn't going to die, that I knew I was going to be an experiment, and that all of that did happen. to have self-esteem. So, everybody has to go through their hell. Nothing's easy to get to this point. Actually, the more conscious you are, the bigger problems you get. You are this much conscious, you get this big problem. You have this consciousness, you get this one. So the problems what you get are according to the solutions you can do, and every solution you do counts for everybody else, because we are one humanity. We are one with the earth. So I don't know, I'm talking too much, I'm not showing this.
No, like you are expressing your truths that are universal truths. You just taught us with the process of activating the pineal gland, and that we can heal ourselves with our own voices. And there might be other creatures that understand invisible sounds that can develop in you emotions and thoughts that are not yours. So you have to take over your power and restore your authority. And okay, I'm thinking I want to think about that. I want to sing a song different for myself and not.
I recognize in you that you talk with enthusiasm and you talk with intention. I do too. You know that if you don't have enthusiasm, you're going to get sick. That's what I tell you from voice analysis, as simple as that. Of course, a lot of things in life do not give you no enthusiasm and they bring it down and down, no? But that's your thing. You have that flexibility to be able, and that flexibility, you can also see it in the voice. It's one of the things, one of the detectors that I catch. So the flexibility is also talking with a little bit of intention. You know why? Because you want people to capture your emotion. Everybody talks like this because they want to hide their emotions, so they're talking monotone. They hide their emotions. Micro gestures and
politeness, correctness, and diplomacy. Politeness, these are really sick things on earth. Diplomacy.
Education, go out the hell, education. We've been educated. We haven't been educated right. They haven't educated the most important things about your health, how to take care of yourself. They haven't educated us in the right way. They've educated us in a sick society of our parents and continue to get sicker and sicker and to manipulate us more and to make us more impotent. Only a real rebellious, creative person gets out of that. I was very rebellious always, of course. I was a big bother for my parents. So now I'm for my brother and sister. So what it is, you are different. So yes, why not? But there are phases. I also did the I Ching. There's the phase of the trigrams of the I Ching with Jungian psychology. I have a book published called Transpersonal Psychology, and the I Ching is published in English. You can find it on Amazon. Well, that it gives you a whole series through the trigrams of the I Ching, the book of changes of the Tao. The Tao is Chinese. So the trigrams are 3 lines, no? So the trigrams will tell you, well, the problem is that in our puberty, we enter into the water. And the water, once you find, is similar. So we give in to all the fashions of and if we do not have that at the age we're supposed to in puberty, then we keep looking for that afterwards when it's not about that anymore. But psychologically, you got hooked that you never had that friendships and groups of people that you felt the same, because that is a part of psychological maturity that you have to do at a certain age, not when you're older. When you're older, you have to be individualized and you have to take responsibility for yourself and to be able to know what you're doing. So that it's a phase. It's a phase of water where you have to feel that you're the same as others, that they feel the same as you. And in that phase, you can find a love that has the hidden part of your negative animals, and then you get into trouble. And you have to go through that. You've actually, what I can tell you is that I want you another thing to watch. Watch that you know everything before it happens. Really, we do. We know everything before it happens. So, when you thought about it, but you didn't listen. It's hard to listen to some of the messages your higher self gives you, but that's a training. That's a training and a trusting, because you know that it worked and that you were connected and you knew that that was going to happen, and it happened. Just that the car is going to break, or that you're going to have an accident, or that this person is not going to come, or that any of this, suddenly you know, but you have to be neutral. And to be neutral, you have to be psychologically sane. If you have a lot of complexes, a lot of problems with people, a lot of unsolved issues, you cannot be neutral. There's always something there that tricks you, because you need recognition, you need attention, you need a lot of things that we have in relationships. All relationships are projections. Everything that I look in others is projected from myself. If not, I wouldn't even watch it, or wouldn't even bother what I observe. Oh, look at this person is doing something I don't like. You watch it because of something that has to do with you. So a lot of these things are part of this consciousness that we are evolving. And we are there. It's a question that we have a lot of issues from the past that we're carrying from our ancestors, that we're carrying from our childhood. And there has to be a moment they say, I have solutioned them. I am myself. I am not anymore carrying all this baggage. But of course, everybody has their story. Everybody is different. Everybody has their own way to get there. As a psychologist and a somatic specialist, I know that everything gets buried in the body. The repository of a memory is all your connective tissue, which is all the tissue in the body, the whole thing. What the posture you got from a moment that you had a trauma, that posture has put something inside one of the tensions or the muscles or whatever. The facial expression that keeps memories in wrinkles of the body. Cranial somatic specialist, which is what I am, with the hands can feel where those things are and release them. I tell you, sometimes it looks like an exorcism. It's amazing what people have inside the body. Pain comes out from an accident. Memory comes from what happened in that accident. Then you can help them see what happened before, what is the reason why they got the accident. Because we attract absolutely everything to our life, everything. It's not just, a bad luck. Oh, look, I had an accident. Oh, look, they threw me out of work. Oh, no, it's not bad luck. Your higher self has put you through that moment so that you learn exactly what you need to learn to evolve. So those are the different things that everybody has to do, which has nothing to do with that we are evolving as humanity, or we have the opportunity to heal ourselves, to recover a strong immune system, so that we do not have this problem of illness and doctors and pharmaceutical and pills. And there are instruments like what we're doing that actually help you. What gives you more consciousness? Light. So if you put a quartz with a laser in a part of the body, it can also not only tells the brain take care of that, not only helps the biophotons, which is the communication network between cells, to take care of that area, that they get coherent, because the biophotons is like sparks of photons, biophotons that are not communicating with the others. They get out, they're not together with the rest. So the laser with a crystal, a special crystal, which we call crystal laser, actually helps the biophotons get together with the network, so we are correcting the communication network between photons with cells, I mean. And then we also have other ways of understanding why we got into that imbalance. Why did we have to have that imbalance? We inherited, we got it from children, we still carry it from I don't know when. We attracted, I have to tell you, because to find the reason why you got sick is one of the most important things of somatic cranial work. And I could have said, oh, I got radon gas radioactivity 20 years before it appeared as leukemia. And the biggest leukemia, like Hiroshima, they gave me 15 days. They gave me very little to live. And I was looking for, because something I want to tell you, the everything solution, the leukemia would be healed with UV irradiation, passing the blood through a UV bulb and putting it back in. It gives you a shot of immune system and actually completely HIV, liver cancer, and things that have to do with the blood, leukemia, totally healed. Then we have microorganisms that can be completely personalized. Like you need a microorganism to do insulin because you're diabetic. Well, you make they do a microorganism for you specifically, or you need a myelin because you have multiple sclerosis. Well, all of that they can manipulate genetically the right way, what we are going to give consent for them to do, not what they do, whatever they want to, without asking us consent. You know how they ask us consent with the movies that we see. I don't see no more movies. Movies that we see, that we like, that we applaud, we gave them consent. So if we do not give them consent to do genetic manipulation, there's no way. We are too many to say no. Then we have also stem cells that can be taken a little bits of your skin and specialize it for the liver, and then put it into your liver, and it takes care of the cancer. But this has to come with consciousness of why you had liver cancer, why you went through that process. Then you for sure get healed. Because it's like, say, we can have an exterior help, and we're going to need that a lot, because there is a lot of radioactivity. Nobody talks about nuclear plants and radioactivity. I tell you, 20 years it takes for it appeared as leukemia or cancer, 20 years, and you don't know that you're in the process. Obesity could be one of the detectors, because if you have been exposed to a big electromagnetic field, what goes is the thyroid. It's very sensitive to it, and the thyroid goes. Same as happened in Hiroshima, no, in Chernobyl
Fukushima.
mostly. Fukushima now too. Right?
Yeah.
So this is a lot of in California. You have a lot from Fukushima, and everybody's surfing. They don't know that they maybe are radioactive victims already. We will have things to heal that, but of course we have to take over the medical society to what we call energetic medicine. That is what we, Elizabeth and I, do, and we hope to have enough help to get it done. We still need money. What can we do? We should be a planet without money, but we still need the money, no? So I think we will get there. But of course, everything, that is my personal challenge, so it has to be whenever everything is in the right place. And sometimes you don't know when it's that. I just know that it will come. So it's a question of that you can have the help from outside. We will have the technology to help you. But also, if you go to zero and you get rid of the illness, it's not that somebody has taken the illness. You have to know why you got that illness so that it doesn't come back. You have to know why you attracted that illness. Just imagine I had radon gas exposure. I lost consciousness with my partner and had son that died in the World Trade Center, my son too. Changed my life completely. So that time, it happened, that radiation exposure, in 1982, and it came out as leukemia in 2002. Exactly 20 years, January to January. So in this case, that is, why did I attract cancer of the blood? It's not, no, it was because I rejected my blood. I rejected my family. And I had to get the transplant of my sister, which was non-compatible. The first time I didn't want it because I was continuing, no, I want to be myself, no, I want to be myself. The second time I had a relapse because it happened so much, the whole thing was a mess with it happened exactly 6 months after the death of the son of my partner in 9/11, so it happened on the 11th of March that I found out of 2002. So then at that time I had a whole mess in my life, and I didn't want to go through a bone marrow transplant from somebody else. I had a relapse, and then in 2006 I had a bone marrow transplant from my sister, which was non-compatible. And they never do a bone marrow transplant to a person of 55 years old, which I was 14 years ago. Okay? So they never do, but they saw me. Well, we're going to try. I became an experiment, which I knew that I was going to be. So actually, I changed DNA of the blood, and I have the blood of my sisters. So I had to get together with my family, And that is part of the healing, a part that you know that is healed forever. If not, if you didn't recognize it, somebody else comes and helps you. A machine has wonderful machines. We have a lot of technology. If you do not get that part that only you know, nobody else knows. Nobody else knows but you. If you don't get that part, the healing will not be total. Even though Elizabeth can express some things that we can bring it back to, that we can go over genetics, yeah, but I believe that the psyche of each person is more complex than that. So they have to really, each person knows. Actually, you know why you get sick. Only you know. The other, nobody else knows. It's impossible. They don't know your history. Think about something. Everybody can see this program, and everybody's going to get different things of the program. Somebody you have an accident with, and everybody can describe the accident completely different. Everybody lived it different because they come from a different history. So, that actually made me very crazy when I was younger. Like, why are they not explaining it right? Well, the sequence for them was totally different than yours. You lived the same experience, and the sequence is totally off. So that's why there's so much confusion, because everybody sees everything different. And when we start to welcome the differences, we will be able to know that we're in the right place, because differences are part of our creativity. We are, as humans, we are all very different. We've had a very different story, but we have a common goal, and that common goal is now. Common goal now is no vaccine, no PCR test. We have it. We have the goal. It's like, what else you want? So that's why we can be able to join suddenly in the most diverse ways, because don't think that they're going to do it the same as you. And you don't want it to do it the same as you. Be creative. I'm different. I'll be happy that I'm different. If not, you're still hooked to the time of adolescence that we all want to think the same. That is past in our life. Well, depending upon if you are 15, 16, 17, you're still in that age. But after that, if you fulfill that process of psychology, then you have to know that you can be happy to be different. and that nobody's going to have the same story as you. Nobody's going to think exactly the same as you. So I don't know. I haven't showed any photographs. I had a few things there, but there is an experiment. Maybe I should. I don't know how you show the. I don't know how much time I have.
This conversation, I'm going to talk to you now. I'm going to pass a scientist. We have someone from Milan, but I'm going to, while they speak, I'm going to call you and ask you to come back and showcase all your tools properly, because this is like an introduction of your future. And I'm going to, just a second, I have a few people waiting from Russia that is really there.
Tools like that.
Yeah, we want people to see for real. So I'm gonna invite you to come at 6 and showcase all your tools. Okay, so it's in 2 hours we can make a showroom of just your tools. Okay, so I'm gonna pass right now to the scientist that is.
I'm not a commercial person. I don't go on.
No. I'm not talking. I'm not talking about person. I'm talking about sharing your toys, because they are really amazing, and I wanted to.
I have a lot of toys here. Yeah.
So let's do something. Let's tell people it's for. Let's do this at 6. So in 2 hours, let's get back together in 2 hours. Okay, please. Can you do that? In 2 hours, you'll be back with us. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being there. I'm gonna pass by the next Russian and Italian inventor for them to talk about a lot of interesting things, but we're going to catch up in 2 hours with you. All right. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your history. We love you. Thank you. Take care. See you later.
Yes. Okay. See you now.